Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. And are you ready for our second matchup, OXG versus Disrupt? Gentlemen, I'm super excited about this matchup. How are you feeling, Jesse, about OXG versus DG?
I feel excited. I think this one's going to be quite difficult for Disrupt Gaming, just based on who they're up against. I mean, it's a loser's game. They have to play Oxygen, which is pretty intimidating. But, you know, I think they've got it in them. I think they'll give us a good show.
Veli, what are you thinking? It's going to be a good show for sure.
It's going to be a great show. I think it's quite opposite. OXG has been struggling. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
you.
Yeah.
OXG has been struggling recently, right? And I think for Disrupt Gaming to get back on top, especially after an extremely important roster change, replacing their in-game leader, this is their best chance at getting that first big dub under their belt.
All right, and oh my gosh, I don't have my laptop. Oh, shoot.
You don't have it? Jackie, you slacking me. You know what, Jackie?
Well, it's a good thing one of us does.
Jesse, you got a laptop?
I finally got it. It's finally here.
Oh, I'm the odd
so
one
happy.
out today. I forgot it. It's in my car. Oopsie. That's okay. But gentlemen, you guys have the Predator 900, Predator 700.
700.
700. Okay, I have the 900 where the screen flips around, but yeah, they're awesome. So Predator, big thank you. I will get that out of my car. My producer's like, Jackie.
But
anyway,
it's in your car?
Yeah. No, just kidding. You guys
Where
are
do you
giving me
live,
trouble.
Jack?
Okay, you guys. So moving on, I think we have a big matchup today. It is OXG versus Disrupt, and let's get right to it. So let's start off with OXG. No, but to be completely serious, Veli, you were touching on this a little bit. It's been a little bit rough for them. That was a tough loss against Tempo for sure. It definitely had to hurt. Veli, OXG needs this win to bounce back, period. That's how I feel. I just feel like they're feeling a lot of pressure right now.
And it hurts me to call them out, too, because this team, look at this roster. They're so special, right?
Yeah.
And just their play styles are just so one of a kind. You take a look at Laxing, Foxay, Slash Hug, like a legend in the scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're really good. So when you see them struggle, you're like, okay, what's going on? I don't know what the case is. Foxay has had some off and on game, same with Bio and Slash Hug. This team, when they're shooting straight, they're walking highlight reels. They can beat just about anybody, and they proved it when they were #1 on top of the ladder at the beginning of Stage 1. But if they can overcome those troubles against Disrupt Gaming, I said before, it's a good thing Disrupt Gaming is playing Oxygen. I think it goes both ways at the same time. They have to get this win to rally back on top.
Yeah, and Veli talking about some of their struggles. Jesse, they were particularly dismal on attack on their last map. Cafe, even Laxing, who frankly they've been heavily reliant on, was pretty quiet on attack on that map. So what do you think is happening with their attack play style?
I mean, I think it's difficult. I think you look at that last matchup and the two maps they won, it really seemed like towards the end, and they did attack last on those two maps. It seemed like towards the end, they really fell into a slump, and the momentum totally just drained out of them. You know, especially when you're on the attack and you need to be pretty coordinated, you need to be taking that initiative. If you don't have that momentum, if you're not confident in yourself, it's really difficult to get those opening picks to gain some advantage for your teams. So I think that's what Oxygen were really struggling with. Foxay, we've also got to bring this up, did not have the most amazing match. He went -14. That's the worst he's had in terms of KD inside of the NAL. So he was not playing like we know he can, and that was obviously a red flag. He was playing a couple of new ops that we haven't seen him on. He's on Ashe a lot and Melusi a lot, which he didn't really play in Stage 1. Melusi obviously wasn't in competitive Siege in Stage 1. But those aren't operators that have a lot of like heavy utility. Maybe it's just guns he's not familiar with. Maybe there was something else going on. It's hard to really say, but certainly some problems on attack and a little bit on defense for Oxygen Esports.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's move on to their opponent, DG.
Okay.
Disrupt, they lost to TSM, and they had it was a rough second map. It was rough. Veli, the three of us were chatting. We were like, I'm a little worried about DG. They made changes, but we straight up need to see results, and that was not happening when we saw them last week.
So I said I was going to hold on to my thought about this roster when Nyx was replaced. I said at the beginning of last broadcast, I thought Nyx was the second most productive player on this team. They replaced him. They brought in J9. J9 is a special talent. He comes from the same place as NJR and Iconic, right? So the guy can play. He can play really good, too.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that he was picked off extremely early. Merc abused J9. And with J9 being on Zofia, that's a big blow. And with Zofia dying first, it just continued on with the narrative that Disrupt Gaming, they've been struggling on attack as well, right? First, you make fun of Dark Zeroed out Disrupt when it comes to certain size. But seriously, attack is becoming a huge problem for Disrupt Gaming. They get picked off way too early. If they can fix that, I legitimately think they have a fighting chance to win this game.
Jesse, maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. You know, we talked about J90, and I don't know. I just feel like the team is really looking to him to show up. You know, like he has been brought on the team. Do you think that he has what it takes? Do you think we've seen him in the past and he's performed pretty well? Maybe he's just in his own head a little bit.
Yeah, listen, I caught a little bit of flack last week for predicting that J90 wouldn't have the same impact on Disrupt that some of the other new players had on their teams. And perhaps that was bold for me to say before I'd seen him play with Disrupt Gaming. But after seeing the match, I kind of want to say it again a little bit louder. He didn't have the same impact that we saw a lot of the new players coming into the US division have on their squads. And it's unfortunate. It did feel like he was quite absent from a lot of the rounds in their first matchup. His 35% cost reflects that. Was not contributing in very many of those rounds, particularly the ones where they were losing. And that's unfortunate to see. You know, the removal of Nyx from this roster was supposed to elevate the rest of the team. It was supposed to take some pressure on them. It was supposed to make everybody play better. Every single player on Disrupt Gaming had lower ratings than their season average from Stage 1. And rating's not the only way to judge the performance of a player, but I think it backs up, you know, what was sort of happening. Nobody played particularly better than what we saw out of them in Stage 1, and you know, they didn't necessarily get a whole lot worse, but complacency isn't good enough in the NAL.
Yeah, true.
That was one of the worst games.
Yeah, that was rough, but you know what? It's a new match, so we shall see. We'll see how DG does. But this is just coming down. We are moving into the map selection process, gentlemen. So we are about to get up that map veto information on your screen right now. So, Jesse, talk to me, man. What are we thinking?
Alright, so Theme Park being picked first. This was Auction's least played map of Stage 1, but it's also not a great map for Disrupt Gaming, and OXG did look good here last week. It was the one map that they won, so I think that's fine. Then Villa picked from Disrupt Gaming, so they played this 3 times in the NAL. They've lost it every single time, but again, they looked pretty good last week against TSM. They got 5 rounds, so okay. And then we head to Cafe for map number 3. So this was Auction's best map of Stage 1. They played it twice, they won it twice. They did come into Stage 2 losing 7-5 to Tempo, and DG looked pretty weak last week. So if we get to 3, this might be sort of one-sided for Auction, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right, and predictions? Veli, I'm going to put you in the hot seat first.
I think that Oxygen is a direct counter to Disrupt Gaming. I mean, let's be completely honest. Disrupt Gaming, when they attack sites sometimes, they ignore the roamers. Yeah. And Oxygen is a team where you don't want to ignore Laxing, of all people, right?
No.
I'm going to go with Oxygen because NTR having 16 kills and everyone else having 9 in a best of 3 last week, they have to get better. They're going to have to show me that they're better. So I'm going with OXG.
Jesse.
Listen, I don't want to jinx anything, but I am currently 5 for 5 on my predictions, ignoring all the flip-flops.
What does he think he is?
Since the start of Stage 2, I'm going to try to keep that streak going. I'll pick Auction Esports. I think they should be the favorites to win this matchup, particularly with how the ban phase went. They are just the better team, in my opinion. Disrupt Gaming are going to have to look a lot better than they looked in Week 1 for them to take this game.
Yeah.
Big brain Jesse.
So both of you going with Oxygen, and I mean, Oxygen is definitely feeling the pressure. I feel like they're fired up today and they're going to be out for blood. And DG just looked a little bit out of sorts. But again, it's Siege, gentlemen, so we never know what's going to happen. So for all of you at home, we're about to get to that matchup. Don't you worry. But really quickly, we have a little short break. So just make sure you go over to our Twitter and Instagram account and go follow us. There's tons of fun stuff like Veli with confetti and Jesse finally getting the laptop. So you don't want to miss out on any of that. And we definitely want to encourage you to participate in our community poll. And we have our lovely casters, Blue and Stokes. They're coming up next, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. See you soon.
Going into Stage 2, we're less plant-oriented than we were in Stage 1, focusing a little more on pushing through. I think that's definitely going to change how we play a bit.
I think we're trying to show a new face going into this season.
We are definitely approaching Stage 2 with a new mindset. Over the last few months, I would say the biggest thing we've been focusing on is our transition with J9, us having a new IGL and a new structure system. A lot has changed, and we're just focusing on ourselves mainly. Our greatest strength is how calm we are. We have nobody on the team that's gonna snap or like get upset, and especially in game, I think we all like have a really level head. And when we face adversity, it doesn't affect us nearly as much as it would a lot of other teams.
During phase 1, that was still our biggest strength. Even with the skin issue, for example, we never got upset or demoralized because of it.
We have like a really good environment being under Disrupt as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a work hard environment. We've all been putting in more effort than is required.
We scrim a lot and we practice a lot more than I think people think. My goal is to beat Sonics.
I mean, yeah.
There it is. All right.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is just about time to jump into our second and final match of the evening. Oxygen going up against Disrupt Gaming. Another losers match will send another team lower and lower in the standings here for NAL in Stage 2, but send another team upwards as well. Stokes is with me here. Stokes, what do we make of this matchup here?
Super excited for this matchup. There's a lot to prove on both sides. Oxygen slumping last week, as well as Disrupt with not the greatest start to Stage 2. I mean, there's a lot to offer here. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start talking about it. We have our community poll question as usual as well. We're going to bring that up for you guys right now and see what exactly you folks are going to be voting for today. We would like to know, who do you think needs to step it up the most today here on Playday number 3? Is that going to be NJR or is that going to be Foxay? Go over to our socials at R6 Esports, and it will be the place to submit your vote and let us know what you think between those two players. Stokes, what do you think between those two and the way that they performed in last week's matches?
I would say that NJR is not the person that needs to step up at all. I think, if anything, NJR has already stepped up, and it's the rest of Disrupt that need to come to his aid, because that man is doing everything right now in his power to make Disrupt win a game. I would say that out of these two choices, it's definitely got to be Foxay. Nothing bad or ill towards him,
of course.
But out of these two options, it's definitely got to be him, just because NJR is already, at the tippity top of the mountain.
All right, well, you guys already saw the maps before. We're going to be going to Theme Park, Villa, and Cafe if we need to do that third map. And Theme Park is just about ready to get started, folks. The bans are beginning right now. So let's head in game itself and take a look at exactly who's going to be getting knocked out from play here on our very first map of the series.
Well, should be a fun best of 3 here between Oxygen and Disrupt. We're starting things out on Theme Park, like John was talking about. You guys already saw the map bans, so we're just waiting on the bans to go through right now. But last week, again, not the greatest time for either one of these teams. Specifically for me, Oxygen coming up really short. I did not see them having such a slow start to Stage 2.
Specifically on attack is where we saw a lot of weaknesses coming up for them, and a lot of players just not really being able to show up as they were able to do so on the defensive side. First operator bans going through here, by the way. Thatcher and Jackal, interestingly enough, being eliminated. Oftentimes we see a Maverick combo next to Thatcher instead of the Jackal, but the Jackal makes sense when you consider how heavy the roaming presence has been on this map. So knocking out an anti-roam certainly going to help the attackers a bit.
Yeah, it should help them out a decent bit. But Wamai also going to follow up instead of the bans for Oxygen. Not bad at all, especially starting on the offensive side. Going to make their clear a lot easier for site control. And last but not least, Malusi off the board. That's actually a really big pickup. As they were talking about earlier, Foxay been picking up Malusi a lot. And a lot of teams picking up Malusi as well. Her Banshee utility, so good at slowing down those offenses.
Not to mention that, but the Wamai ban as well will limit the current play into the meta, where we have so much utility soap being brought to the table. Should help out the attackers a little bit on, well, not having to bring as many flashbangs or other ways to try and drain out that defender utility that has so much been the case for the past few months. We'll still have the Jaeger in play, as is usually the case, and that will immediately come up here from NJR's pick.
We're going to have a 6th pick as well, away from the info op of Valkyrie and onto something else to slow people down. That's going to be the Clash pickup. Probably don't have to explain that to you guys, especially with how good that shield is.
We're going to be in Throne Room again once again here to start off as well. This has been a common site that teams have been going to. And once again, guys, another common thing you may have been seeing here is those skins. Make sure you're heading in-game and taking advantage of this great opportunity to jump on board with them. Saw quite a few of them getting announced, a lot of the R6 share skins, but specifically the ones in-game right now. Make sure you go ahead and take advantage. We're running a great deal right now for a limited time. Support all the pro teams, as 30% of the net revenue from those skins is going to be split equally among all of the Phase 3 teams. Make sure you jump on that and support your favorite teams while you have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, as well as while you're doing that, why not indulge and, get a couple more of those beautiful, beautiful R6 currency pieces that I can't remember the exact name of right now, but we have some more esports skins coming out tomorrow as well. So make sure you guys stock up on those so you guys can get all of those beautiful skins, especially the one for Bandit that's coming out, or already is out, excuse me, with the Pro League set.
All right, folks, taking a look at the round itself here. Oxygen splitting quite a bit of the pressure here, as we did see one player trying to work their way in arcade side over on the west end of the building, but the large majority of the roster is starting to push their way in from Dragon Stairs, as is so often the case when attacking this site here on this map.
Well, very slow beginnings, as you're saying. So drones in now, Oxygen just performing a top clear here. It's going really well, obviously. No real roam presence here by Disrupt, so should be easy beginnings, but that's soon going to take a turn as they are going to have to focus on getting a wall open. Oxygen brought a lot of hard breach, 3 hard destructors out for them, Ace on board as well, so should make for a pretty good time on getting these walls open. Let's just see what the priority is for now.
Not much in the way of resistance when it comes to this upstairs clear either from the Disrupt side of things, and this can work, keep in mind, because of the fact there isn't a whole lot of top-down destruction over the site itself, outside of, say, a little bit over Arsenal. The other half or 2/3 of the site is relatively safe. So OXG is going to use the angles that were given to them, but like I said, it is somewhat limited in what you can actually see from the top-down perspective. They're going to have to do a lot more work before it's really safe for them to actually try getting into the site.
Yeah, that's the good news about them getting in up top so early on, is that they're going to be able to actually work this vertical for quite a long time in comparison to what we usually see when they have to deal with a roam game. So for DG, this is going to be leaning on that utility to make sure that Oxygen can't just bully their way into sight. A lot of this leans on Retro with that Clash Shield as well.
Coming down to that last minute, Disrupt starting to feel probably a little bit secure with their positioning, but they also still need to be worried, as within this last minute is when we are going to see the real attempts made by Oxygen to start opening up the walls. You can see maintenance being heavily worked on right now by Bio on the Maverick as he tries to take out some of the extra reinforcements coming in from J90, but so far things are still moving pretty slowly, and we have not seen a successful attempt to either ace open one of these walls yet, or even use the X-Kairos charges to do it here. Maverick, of course, can also make the attempts at that, but he's still got a bit more to deal with, as there's a mute jammer still sitting on the other side that Bio has not been able to shoot out just as of yet.
This is very curious, because usually the mute jammer would be in the center of the wall, and they definitely know it's muted because of obviously the electrical sparks coming off of the utility. But Laxton's going to get a pickup as well as Slash, so all of a sudden this round, a touch winnable, especially after they lock down the smoke in the backline. It's all left up to Retro right now in a 1 versus 5. Doesn't really know where anyone is, but no one knows where he is either. Bomb now going down. He's going to get 1 pickup, but does he know he's inside of the smoke? He knifes. He gets 1. Retro, are you actually going to win this? You are! What? In God's... No!
What was that?
What?
Oh my god. That was absolutely insane from Retro. Even he's laughing in the chat right now. Just throws out a casual LOL as he's able to somehow sneak that round in for Disrupt out of absolutely nowhere.
Okay, I'm gonna need a tactical timeout for the casters here, because I don't know what just happened there. Okay, so great play there by Retro. I have no idea how Oxygen did not assume that he was going to be inside the smoke, especially after he just killed the guy that hopped over the shield. I don't really know how they didn't pinpoint him. This is very unlucky there by Oxygen. I really just got to chalk it up to that. I mean, they obviously didn't have the information on where he was, and he performed what seemed to be a turtle as he proned on the ground and made sure nobody could kill him.
Crazy turn of events, but hey, it works out well for Disrupt as they'll take the win on the very first round here. One that it certainly looked like Oxygen were going to control up until those last 5 seconds or so. Either way, Disrupt will be elated about the success coming from that round, and they'll now get to move on to their next site, which is going to be upstairs here. And we'll see them obviously put a little bit of extra emphasis on trying to defend the cafe push as well, since more than likely we are going to see quite a bit of pressure from Oxygen being thrown onto that doorway at the beginning of the round here.
This is going to be a true test of Oxygen and what they've been working on recently with the, obviously the off time in between stage 1 and 2. With something happening like that inside of a game, obviously, it's going to be very strenuous for everyone on that team. So this is a time for them to come together as a team, just be like, all right, water off the back. There was nothing we could really do there. We just kind of misplayed and things happened. So reset, and hopefully Oxygen can get a better run the second time around.
And it kind of begs the question as to what was going on with the maintenance walls. Well, you had touched about how they were very well aware that there was a mute jammer on the other side, but it took them a really long time to realize that, and that led to some considerable delay in actually opening up the maintenance walls. So there was, some weird stuff going on overall for the attack there on Oxygen. Hopefully, of course, just some jitters at the beginning of the game. Unfortunately, things aren't going to continue very well for them into the second round here either, as NJR gets a nice long angle from outside of waiting room and uses it to take out Slash, one of the hard breaches here. Still alive for Oxygen at the beginning of the round.
Amazing start for Disrupt once again, and this isn't on Oxygen, and they're clear this time with the first engagement. It's rather Disrupt, very early pick. So, still plenty of time for Oxygen to make something happen here, but they're down an ace just like you were talking about, so that's going to be very difficult for Oxygen to get some of these walls open. Hopefully Biologic can make good use of that torch to possibly get one of these open to assist his team, but using those X-Kairos to get a wall isn't the best way to go about it. Granted, the defense doesn't have anything to prevent that either, so as long as they get these mute jammers off, they should be pretty set for hard destruction.
See Laxing jump into control here, joining up with the rest of the main group of his team. It's trying to push forward further west into the building. As you said, the X-Kairos not going to be much of a problem, as I believe all of the denial has been dealt with, or, well, it's being dealt with now, as Foxay just wraps around the corner, swipes away that mute jammer, and will open up the possibility for them to open up the extra angle to play off of. Possible duel coming up here for Foxay. There's a player on the corner, of course. Here comes the swing. And that should have been an easy win for Foxay, but Retro is still allowed to get off a 1-for-1 before going down. Gets the shotgun burst on the bio right around the corner before the trade comes in from Fox.
Well, still a lot of time to work here with for Oxygen. They have the pick now, but down 2. Foxay with that lucky refrag there. So, Disrupt. Waiting on that timer now. Still plenty of time once again for Oxygen to do quite a few things. Still have a lot of drone economy as well as utility here. Just really no main utility. Hell of a grenade, as well as Foxay catching him from underneath. Grenade up to the hatch makes him drop, and J9 pays his life. So that's the pick that they really, really needed to start forcing their way into sight.
Great catch in the utility usage there from Oxygen, like you said. Certainly equalizes things a little bit more here, but now coming down to a 3v3 with only 20 seconds remaining. It's all on Oxygen to make the first move here and try to push themselves further into sight. Hash charge looked like it was being used there for a second. Not sure what it's given them access to, but either way, Reed giving himself a bit of an angle to play off of. It's not going to matter to help out his team, though, as we do see Laxing still able to take out another member of Disrupt. That's going to be NJR going down. It's all on Shuttle and Reed. Now Plant attempt also being made. Laxing finds one of them. Reed does catch the trade, but now he's alone. Plant is on the ground, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to come out clutch in the 1v2 here. Vert shuts it down for Oxygen, and they get the immediate trade to tie us up at 1-1.
Much better round there from Oxygen. Great patience and nice rotation there to put their operators in the area in order to be successful. Very nice rotation there. Good info read as well. I mean, for Oxygen overall on that offense, I mean, it really wasn't the hard destruction or anything along those lines. It was really the gunfights that it came down to in that last little instance that allowed them to actually get inside of sight. But honestly, I thought that they were going initially for the daycare side when we saw everyone moving through, but then eventually they ended up going for bunks and just holding down the arcade balcony. So overall, really nice round from them.
Definitely the case, and even looking back at round number 1, it was their fragging potential, which was really the only reason they were getting close to winning that round as well. So a lot of the success from Oxygen coming off of frag power, that's not necessarily a bad thing though, as that is something that to an extent at least was missing from some of their attacks on their game last week. So seeing that come back into the fray here, even with some somewhat funny results at the end of at least the first round, could be a good sign for them throughout the rest of the series.
Oh, I like what Disrupt's starting us off here with on round 3. Looks like we're going to have an extended roam set up, ladies and gents, so should be a pretty good time. Reed throwing down some panels for maintenance wall as well, and also a rotation into barrels. So it looks like they're going to be doing something similar to what we've seen a lot of teams do on the drug lab site. It's been quite successful time and time again. They do have the pulse as well, so they're going to have good intel on this first floor.
All right, well, we've got Oxygen out onto the board once again. Let's take a look and see exactly what they're going to try and work with here to try and clear out this extended room that you had already mentioned, Stokes. We can see quite a few of the members from Disrupt committing themselves to it now, as J9's going to kind of lock himself in throne room. Shuttle will probably do the same somewhere near Arsenal. J9 actually looks like he's playing into barrels as well, so a little bit more movement involved for him. But Shuttle certainly going to be locking himself into Arsenal, and Reed will be probably assisting the two of them with any intel he can get from that heartbeat sensor.
The really only downfall to this is if Oxygen's able to get top control. It can break up the entire floor of the office area, or excuse me, the cafe area, to look down into the storage area downstairs, which is one of the main bomb sites. But when stuff like that happens, you don't really have to worry about it. NJR gets a drone and vertical for his troubles, as he's going to attempt to hold down the top floor. We're only a minute in here, and he's already made an impact.
NJR just rolling out of absolutely nowhere. They're a massive surprise to vertical, more than likely. Certainly a kill well-deserved for the defenders. Potentially a second one going to be gifted to him here as well. Foxay doesn't catch NJR at first, meaning he has to double time it to get to a different safe position, but he's got 2 different drones on him. They know exactly where he's positioned. It's really just all up to Foxay now, as he still lost the initial duel there, whether he wants to try and re-engage it or not. Shuttle, in the meantime, will be able to take out Slash, and we still, like I said before, have the potential engagement with NJR between at least Foxay, if not Bio, because he's also in the area now too. Looks like Laxing is going to end up finding those. NJR drifts a little bit too close to center map, and with that, the roaming threat will be dealt with, and Oxygen can start to focus a bit more on the site take here.
Yeah, breath of fresh air here for Oxygen. NJR was the thorn in the side that they needed to remove. Finally got rid of him, and they'll finally be able to get some progress going towards the actual site. But NJR's already had a massive impact on this round, and J9's going to make it even more difficult now for Oxygen to try and win this one. Wasting quite a bit of time upstairs. Didn't really have the crosses to be able to hold down NJR as he was slipping through those drones and able to make those quick shots happen. Now, Bio and Lax still contesting, but Laxing at least now down on the main floor. Bio in tandem, but he's near the top of Dragon. Only 45 seconds remain now. They're gonna actually have to try and more than likely go for the execute.
You can see it's not the end of the world in terms of trying to attempt this for Oxygen. It's just obviously not really a great situation. Laxing at least still has 2 of the X-Kairos charges, so they can make some attempts to open up reinforced walls and see if that gives them, at minimum, extra angles to work with. Whether they want to try and use both of them to open up an outright breach is another question, considering there's already some self-destruction that they could try to play off of, at least try and clear out the roam here. Shuttle, with a good start, though, immediately knocks out Bio. Laxing does find the trade, but time is working very heavily against him at this point. It's a 1v3. He's already lost a little over 25 HP, and unfortunately, his position has been revealed as well, meaning J9 can easily line up that final kill from the inside of Lab and shut down the round for Disrupt.
Great defensive showing there from Disrupt, and overall a really, really good round. But for Oxygen, it seems to be that they're roam clear once again, like it was last week, where we saw a lot of people doing very independent things. Vert just got caught up in that again, just in an area where he can't possibly get refragged, and they really didn't have the intel there to know that NJR was there yet. Seemed like a hot drone situation that just went awry. Oxygen was still able to handle it, but again, the damage just too much early on, especially for how many bodies DG still had up, as well as that extended roam that they had downstairs to hold on to all of that map control. Way too many angles to worry about with the amount of bodies that Oxygen had, and just could not solve that equation. So we're on to round 4 now, John, and we've got a 6 pick off of the Maverick onto the Kali. They know that they're going back to Armory more than likely, and they just want to handle these walls a little bit easier.
Yeah, some great work being done there on the previous round by the roam game on Disrupt, just specifically calling out NJR and his performance within that round on the Valkyrie there. Was able to really just dash out, get the first kill, and then wasted a good like 30-40 seconds, I think, after that, when he was trying to avoid both Fox and Bio by hiding out over the dorms area, and did a very good job of just going unseen up until he started to, I think, rotate back towards downstairs, or at least try to play into a different part of upstairs. That's when he finally got caught by Laxing. But, you know, even with just the 1 kill to his name, still wasted a massive chunk of time off the clock, which ultimately worked to fight against Oxygen at the end of the round.
5 seconds left.
Yeah, as well as a pick that came in later on Slash, and I don't exactly know where that one happened either, but for Slash, you gotta play a touch safer inside of those instances. He's mostly the most important hard destruction in this lineup, even when the Mav was still in. I mean, he has the ability to get so many walls all at once, and it's just, you know, very bad for Oxygen to not have him up in the latter half of the rounds, but he's caught himself in some very difficult instances where he more or less just got caught off guard. So hopefully going into the second half of this offensive side, Oxygen can maybe scrub some things up.
All right, well, taking a look, NJR is right in front of the fight yet again here, taking a tiny angle to try and see if he can catch any movement from OXG through Cash early on. And though he's got quite a few soft walls there on the inside of the room, so he's not going to stick around for a very long time. He'll back up through Yellow Hall pretty quickly and position himself a little bit safer further back on the map, as we now start to see Vertical and some of the other members of Oxygen indeed begin to clear out the areas leading up to where he just was.
All initial beginnings here, but still plenty of time on the clock. It's going to be slow and steady, folks. Here it is, theme park. You know how it goes. Crossing now, getting rid of most of the utility for Laxing. He's down to one set of Exkyrost. Use a set over on the yellow wall as well as the initiation wall now. So they got multiple angles as well as multiple areas to be able to rotate through to handle this roam game. NJR switching off of the Valkyrie over to the Vigil. Love this move. More than likely going to be able to delay more time because of that backpack not being able to be seen by drones, as well as he has shuttle upstairs with him, which could also assist.
A little over half the time gone from the round now. Still a lot of work to be done by our attacking squad. They have cleared out a good half of the map over here in the upstairs part. There's still roaming presence to deal with, meaning that they really only have the maintenance wall and maybe yellow to be able to clear out safely here. Yellow is almost certainly going to be fought with other players on Disrupt if they try to take control of that too. So for the most part, it's really just the maintenance wall and of course the dragon door they're going to be able to safely utilize to try and work for the XQ, which doesn't always end up being enough if that's all you have to work with here. So if that's all Oxygen is going to try to fight for, this could be a bit risky on execute. We'll see how all that pans out though over the next few seconds, as it looks like they're going to try and start throwing pressure out. A wild swing from Retro there. Definitely a big risk, but he downs one player, is able to get the confirmation on a reswing with the shoddy. Two more, however, from Disrupt have fallen, but J9 has also been able to trade out an additional player. Now playing with the shotgun, Retro is able to confirm another one. Downs his third right there as he takes out Bio, leaving everything on to Foxay in the 1v3, and unfortunately, only 20 seconds to make the play. Not even going to get to use that full 20 seconds either, as Retro is going to swing right out and take him down.
At a minute left, they were looking so good. Had the wall open, lines of sight established. Kali already had her job done. Bio was going to be able to hold the cross with the sniper rifle. So many good things going for Oxygen, and it just all went south. All of it just gone. I don't really know exactly what happened there, but I can more or less chalk it up to this. It was all based off of Retro's efforts. I mean, beautiful repeak there with the last couple of rounds in his SMG-11. Not only bags him a down, but he also switches to his shotgun and then quick peeks, fires, clears that guy, and also gets two more on top of that, all by them just pushing his wall. That M590 is so dangerous inside of those close range engagements. Just because he has low health doesn't mean that he can't kill you, and Oxygen fell into that trap. Amazing play there by Retro. Very heads up stuffed it for the repeak, knowing that they weren't going to be ready for it.
Seems to really be dominating that specific quadrant of the map, because we go back to round number one, and I believe we also
He's 7-0-1 right now.
Is he really, man?
Yeah.
It's going on a tear. It's like most of his kills I think have been found from that spot as well, because that's where he got all the kills on I think Clash back on round number 1 too, and he got like 2 to 3 out of that one.
The theme park rounds always go very weird ways. I think it's one of the most awkward maps for offenders right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would agree. So, I mean, I think it's a lot of it just comes into the fact that we haven't seen as many officials on this map yet. So, and it's still like the newest layout wise. So, I think a lot of teams are still trying to adjust for that factor as well. Like, still trying to figure out the full play capability. And there just happens to be a lot of awkward play as a result of that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I definitely think that there's, a time where this map will continue on building its meta, and we'll eventually get to the point where things are more towards, an even spot. But right now, offense just not the greatest when you're on theme park. It's not a lot of fun. Disrupt though, plenty of utility in their defensive light up. Got a little bit of everything here. We got some delay, bringing the castle to try and funnel people, as well as use up those soft breaching utility pieces, as well as mute to not only lock the walls, but also to prevent a little bit of info game. Vert with a very nice pickup onto NJR, and that's a reflex on ACOG gunfight, and he still wins it.
I think it was a similar angle that possibly Vert himself got caught by a couple rounds back. So finally getting some revenge for that and striking back against the Disrupt roster, which usually has been dominating in early rounds here. This could be a bit of a turn of the tides if Oxygen are going to be able to continue to be able to control this round. However, all that still yet to be answered here. We've got a couple of players trying to set themselves up for at least aggressive angles against the push from Oxygen, but whether they'll actually take the fights or not is yet to be seen, as I've already seen a few of them falling back from those angles and trying to play things more passively.
Not a bad start here for Oxygen with that initial pickup of NJR. Fox almost threading it through the wall there and getting a kill, but not happen. Good progress, though. Already have control of initiation, working themselves into office. Drone game, beautiful, but end up getting 2 of those taken down. Slash with another pickup, though. So good trade there, especially when those drones are now down. 5v3, and mostly leaning on that intel game to try and keep one of these last few members of the team are. Retro with a nice pickup as well onto vertical. So Oxygen and Disrupt pretty much on equal footing right now. Oxygen knocking at the door, but Disrupt continuing to fight back.
Very passive hold for the time being here on Disrupt. Reed probably the closest to any sort of combat. Retro, of course, also not really wanting to take the challenge on these next few moments, excuse me, simply because of the fact they're already pretty far behind here and they need to try and maintain positioning over everything else. Shuttle will at least bring a trade back after they just lost their teammate there a few seconds ago, puts it down into a 2 versus 3 situation. Time now a little over 30 seconds remaining here too, and Reed still continuing to hold on pretty strongly here. He takes out Slash. Finally, Foxe is able to eliminate his stronghold, and that leaves only Shuttle alive on the back arcade hallway, trying to pull off the 1v2. No plan attempt being made just yet. Only 20 seconds remaining here for the attackers to try that. They'll regather their diffuser and start moving closer and closer to the site here. One of them may run right into his POV, and indeed do, but he's not able to confirm the kill either way. Tries to push it forward. Finally gets that frag on a Foxe. Beautifully done by Shuttle. Now he needs to get the second. Reads the rotate against him, trying to draw him out just to waste time. Will it work? No! Bio gets the frag instead, and it's Oxygen that take control over round number 5 with just a couple seconds remaining on the clock.
Oh, that was a very, very stressful 1v1 there. The Vector, very fast shooting, has decent mag capacity, but that rate of fire, you just go through bullets like water. Ended up only having 8 bullets in that last little instance there and was not able to win things out, especially with how good that secondary pistol is from the Kali, matching a lot of the stats of the F2. So very difficult gunfight every once in a while. Now, Oxygen looking like they're going to have the offensive split. They've already got the 2 rounds that we're used to seeing on defensive-sided maps. Usually that 2-4 split is what we talk about. But they have a chance to go for 3 here. It's a big deal, especially with Disrupt going downstairs to lab. They know what they're looking at. The main thing is now, though, Oxygen can't get picked off early if DG are going to go for that extended roam, which it looks like they're going to as well. They're bringing the pulse again, read on that, and he's immediately running over to Throne. Those are all the telltale signs that I need to see to know that we're going to be experiencing a very similar round.
And you're pretty much right on the nose with that one. We've already got Reed in position, like you said. A few other players more than likely going to be coming over here to reinforce the throne room. Now the question is whether Oxygen will be able to deal with it in a timely manner or not, as they got drained of both manpower and time down to a considerable degree. I think it was all the way down to a 2v4 right before we saw the execution called by the 2 remaining players on Oxygen there. So if they end up in a similar situation, this could just end up being an easy 4th for Disrupt, but let's wait and see, find out if Oxygen have made any changes to the attack for this round before we make any judgments on that.
Well, looking through the scoreboards right now, as we're just about to hit that halfway point of map 1. Well, our 2 community poll questions still kind of in the middle of the road in comparison to the rest of their team. NGR making some big impact when it comes down to, you know, timer and roaming, as well as a couple of big impact frags, but definitely not lighting up the scoreboard in any regard, and he doesn't need to. Again, that's the job of a roamer. As long as they're wasting the maximum amount of time they can possibly get, and they get a frag or 2 every once in a while, that's really what you expect to happen. I mean, the offense shouldn't let things go awry all the time. When we flip the coin, though, and look over at Oxygen, Foxe, middle of the road still, 4-1-4. Topping off the top of the leaderboard is none other than Laxing, the Rat King himself, bringing it out this time and looking damn good doing it. We've seen him on quite a few different operators, seen him play Habana a little bit earlier as well as the IQ, so lots of moving parts here for him.
Yeah, Foxe at least definitely looking better than the performance from last week, at least looking at the final few maps that they played in their series last week, simply because Foxe was losing a lot of direct 1v1s, looking at specifically the cafe game they played on the previous play day for them. So already some improvements on that, and that's probably enough for his performance when it comes to today. Obviously, if he wants to push it further than that, you know, more power to him, but Laxing is definitely the power player that we look to pick up the big frags here on OXG. So Foxe certainly, though, proving his own once again, it seems, in today's match. A little under halfway through the round, in fact. Still waiting to see if OXG are going to get that much closer to the execute. Thankfully, they haven't had to deal with as much roaming presence upstairs this time. They've been able to deal with that, or at least force it to be pushed back closer to the site a lot more easily this round than it was on the previous attempt here.
Yeah, well, the bad thing for Oxygen is that there's not truly any damage being done except for that map control. Laxing going to get our initial kill here as well, so going to put the words right back in my mouth. That was one of the initial frags that they really needed. Get somebody off site so the execute goes a touch better. As long as this presence is off site, DG can rotate towards site and, handle the staircases or wherever Oxygen is, executing from a lot easier. But now that they've eliminated one of those presences, we'll have to see where the rotation's going to come from. I don't even think we do definitely have one more person off of site. I just don't know exactly where they are right now. They don't even see, it's J9.
Yeah,
it's J9 inside of Throne.
I hope you see it now.
Yeah, he was blending in with everything there for just a second, but Reed immediately with the refrag onto Fox.
Reed's still going to maintain a pretty consistent position too. He is in a little bit of a precarious spot. He's got to be careful of a couple different angles, but thankfully I believe he has team support on most of those, so doesn't need to massively worry about it. Laxing's going to try to take a duel from the other side. Bio going to take a little bit of heat here as well. I think he got a bit too close to that smoke canister, and as a result of that, one's going to take some damage, but thankfully his teammates are making up for it in huge dividends. Laxing and Slash both finding kills here, bringing it down to NJR and J9, but NJR drops the diffuser. Vert with a trade leaves NJR alone. This is another 1vx. Are they going to be able to get the plant done in time? No, once again, winning it with just a second or two left on the clock there. Oxygen will close out round number 6 and bring us a lot closer than it looked like this game was going to start off on here as we approach the halftime marker.
3-3 split on Theme Park is something that we really don't see that often just because of how defensive sided it usually is, but Oxygen proving that they can definitely handle things when it comes to the offense. So just to remind you guys, we do still have that Jackal band in play, which means we're more than likely going to be seeing the Nomad. Yep, Nomad out on the board for Disrupt, but that does mean that the roam game for Oxygen can just run wild. It's going to be difficult for them to take this map control if Oxygen does anything like we're used to seeing them do on these roam games. So more than likely going to have a supported roam in some fashion. See how well it goes, but we're starting things off downstairs for Oxygen on their defensive half as they're starting off in Throne.
Overall, great recovery coming in from Oxygen there as we entered the second batch of 3 rounds of the second rotation for Disrupt there. Much better control, I think, on a moment-to-moment basis of what was going on within the round. Obviously, a few scary moments when it came down to the timing and their overall executes, but they were able to make things work, thankfully, due to their overall control over the situation on those final few rounds. So, still had some struggles, of course, with taking the armory control, but not too much to worry about since they've been able to tie it up at 3-3 ultimately.
Yeah, if you're Oxygen, you can't be mad about that at all, especially with initially how the rounds went, right? Didn't have the best roam clear, got picked off early by NJR, but they nipped it in the bud pretty quick. So now that they're on the defensive half, it's their territory. They get to defend everything, and Theme Park trends towards their favor now. So for them, this is already looking like an Oxygen map. Disrupt has to change things.
Yeah, Oxygen as well, probably not counting the first round too much, considering how exactly that played out. So that one's probably not affecting them too much mentally at this point either. Thinking like, okay, if we didn't mess that one up, we'd be 4-2 right now. We're still in good shape, guys. Focus up. Let's get back into the swing of things here and have ourselves a perfect defensive half, which I think is what Oxygen are going to be looking for. A lot of aggression coming out from them after we see some of these windows getting open. Vert wants to take the duel. Obviously, he's not going to be given the opportunity to do so just yet here, but we'll still hang out in games, waiting for his opportunity if somebody does want to come and challenge him. Drone's going to spot him out, so they know for sure he's hiding out here. Whether they saw Bio or Slash hiding a little bit further out, though, is still yet to be seen. Same can be said for Foxay here, as they have a very, very extended setup, looking to try and prevent any cafe access at all to the Disrupt roster.
I think Disrupt is at least going to get Cafe, especially with it barricaded. They don't have any nitro cells underneath to prevent, but they're trying to slow down this take from the cache side, and that's exactly what they're going to do. NJR goes sky high after a confirmed nitro cell from Slashug, and all of a sudden, Disrupt stopped in their tracks. Need to get this refrag or get some semblance of being able to trade this out, because right now, not sitting pretty. That is going to be the Ash, though, so Disrupt not really at fault too much here, but things could definitely go much, much worse. Foxay going to have to worry about the guy pushing in from Arcade Balcony as well. Don't know if he's exactly prepared, but J9 playing this very slow right now is going to give Oxygen the chance to try and rotate it and assist if needed as well. You still have one other member of OXG upstairs with them. I don't know exactly who that is, but Fox still inside of Daycare, Laxing inside of Bunk. J9 now moving in, but does he know? Oh, he does. Foxay with the headshot. Shotgun out. Can he get the second? He cannot. But not actually immediately traded. Retro on top of the ball here, able to get 2 kills, and that's going to send us down in the last minute.
Oh, Retro as well going to be denied on the hatch opening here. The very last second by Slash. Good timing on getting the electrical out there and properly being able to deny that. Retro's on a tear right now too, so opening up that hatch could have had some pretty bad implications for the rest of OXG. But now with the team under control, Bio is going to be able to knock out Reed, leaving everything down to Retro with only 30 seconds left to make a play here. He's going to try to go over towards Split. There's a player right nearby here too, but unfortunately it's going to be against his own angle. And with that, Bio will be able to pick up the final kill as well, finally taking out Retro and securing the first defensive round for OXG.
Very, very difficult start here for Disrupt on their offense. Early picks slow them down, and then Oxygen just shoves the knife right through their heart. Continues the snowball effect, gets all the picks in the world they can possibly imagine, lead it all down to Retro on that Thermite. Strangely enough, the last man alive is the Therm, but he also has all of the frags as well. So Retro definitely picking up his weight for the squad. The rest of Disrupt just need to show up right now, but it's very difficult right now. Oxygen's roam game, very vicious. It doesn't seem that Disrupt really has the means to handle it. And with that being said, I don't know exactly how DG is going to go about this. It doesn't seem to really be the info game. It's just Oxygen winning those heads-up gunfights.
Some great work, speaking of which, by Foxay on that previous round to win some of those heads-up gunfights and delay the overall push from the inside of Bunk. Something that I believe we saw NJR do pretty efficiently back in the first half as well, but Foxay stealing the crown from him a little bit there with his performance on the previous round. Like I said, definitely increasing his performance to a pretty massive degree compared to what we saw last week already.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Oxygen headed upstairs now over to Bunk and Daycare. Regular setup as we're used to seeing from everybody else. It's going to be holding down initiation as well as the top of yellow. Regular reinforcements here, but we could still have some nitro play in the works for Oxygen. We have 3 on the board. Pair that with some Valkyrie cameras and you're in for a good time.
All right, well, we've got Disrupt out and on to the table here. Let's take a look at what their overarching strategy is going to be for the early round. Quite a few of them spawning over here for a cafe push and looking like they're going to make their way over there as well. Could also be Games Entry in down below as well, but looking like definitely going to be some pressure on cafe. Whether we'll see them actually pressure it very early on is still yet to be seen. You'll probably have a few guys running up to the roof to knock out the hatches and start looking for entry points from there as well.
I think Disrupt's going to slow it down quite a bit. They have to worry about that roam game downstairs, especially with the amount of nitros in play, if they have any insight to the lineup for OXG. Right now, it doesn't seem like there's anybody down there, but at least expecting them to drone that area out and keep some intel there in case an OXG member rotates late. As of right now, though, 2 members of Disrupt on the south rappel. Could be going for what seems to be a break room push, or at least to just apply some pressure. Vertical with a hell of a shot onto Retro, takes down the hard breach. And unlike Oxygen bringing every single hard breach under the sun, Disrupt has only brought 1, folks. Every single wall is now locked.
Very well played there from Oxygen, getting that nice early pick off. That's one where you have to go back and ask if he actually got a glimpse from there, or if he was just responding to the tracers. Either way, it lines up very nicely to deny Retro. That's going to take out Hard Breach, first of all. And secondly, when you look at kill totals, that is easily the most impactful player on Disrupt gone from the beginning of the round. That cannot bode well for the rest of the roster leading into the second half of it now.
Very, very difficult waters that they've been placed in, and now Oxygen just gets to sit patiently and see exactly how Disrupt is going to respond, because it's up to them. They're going to start things off right, though. They get the kill onto Slash. Slash, again, just caught off in these very unfortunate situations that just seems to be what's happened over and over again for him. Vert might go flying here. He's at least going to get an air jab, but I don't think he's going to risk hopping out just yet. It's a 4-4 man count right now, and to do something so risky and risk getting killed, definitely not in the cards for the defense.
Reed even does expect it to a certain extent. He's watching multiple run-out angles. Pings are being given by OXG in the meantime to try and confirm something. So if there was going to be a move, it would be made soon. However, I can't see anything on the top-down view that would indicate they're actually going to try and go for the hop-out. Either way, Arcade has now been taken control of by Disrupt. J9 is also going to be able to find the first kill following up this control by taking out Bio. That puts us down into a 4v3. Disrupt gets even better control of the situation, but they've only got 23 seconds left. There's the trade. Back down into a 3v3 as Foxe strikes first here. Nice angle being taken by J9, but he's now the last man standing. That's not going to stop him, though. He brings it down to a 1v1, sub 15 seconds. And the worst part about this has got to be the fact that Vert currently controls the diffuser. J9's got to make a move, and he's got to make it soon. Trying to wrap in here. Checks the wrong angle. He's got to hard check this corner. He saw the barrel for a second, but no. Again, OXG close out the final kill at the very last second as Vertical strikes against J9 and wins out the round for his team.
It is a really good thing that Vertical did not hop that window. Oh man, that round could have went completely sideways if he ended up getting caught off on rotation or something like that after getting that Nomad kill. But overall, nice recovery there from Oxygen. Disrupt getting pretty far without a hard breach as well. My main question, where is that when Retro's alive? That's what we really need to see. When you guys are able to get the ball rolling, get some walls open, and assist yourselves. We need to see that fragging potential when everyone is alive. Inside of that instance right there, some very unfortunate events. Obviously, you have Retro die early. J9 accidentally kills NJRC swings Foxe, so you're traded out by your own teammate, and then you're down into the 1v1. J9 tries to recover from that. There's just a lot of things where, you know, it's not exactly like they've completely fallen over, but they've definitely stumbled over the obstacle, and it's left them worse for wear.
All right, folks, into round number 9. Oxygen inching closer and closer to a victory after 2 successful defenses in a row. Going to look for number 3 here before they start rounding it back over towards some of the other sites they've already played into here as they'll become unlocked for play following this round. For Disrupt, it's all about making it happen here and now. As sadly, it's starting to become too big of an advantage to crawl back from, especially with Oxygen finding a lot of relative success. They've been able to repeat on a round-around basis now. A little bit of an extended roam going to be set up here for Oxygen, same in the way that Disrupt also tried to utilize it back on their defensive sides. I don't think we're going to be seeing it used as heavily as we saw Disrupt use it, but there is definitely a very similar setup to allow for the capability of that extended roam.
Well, speaking of extended roam, we have Laxing on an island all the way over inside of security. I like the move, though. 11-0-6 right now. Picking up the Vigil, seeing if he can possibly have a large impact on this round if DG has a misstep. And as we were talking about before, the missteps, although not the full-on death of them, it's definitely part of it. So we'll see if Laxing can possibly force one on his own. And it doesn't seem like it's going to happen just yet as he rotates down to Throne.
Throne's going to become the main point of contention now as a result of him doing that. I was hoping he could get lucky and stay in his current position without being checked by a drone, but thankfully for Disrupt, that's the very first thing they check. So he's going to be spotted out incredibly quickly here and forced into a different position. As far as the rest of the roam game is concerned, it's mainly focused on just maintaining upstairs control and stopping Disrupt from being able to set up a bunch of top-down angles in areas like Cafe, as we players like Vert that are trying to control this situation right now. He's looking for an opportunity to maybe hop up on top of there, but not going to take it, at least not at this point in time.
Yeah, unfortunate. And I believe you actually have to like sprint at the top in order to get the vault properly.
You have to like go on the bars first. It's really awkward to do it if someone's nearby. So probably a smart move to not try it there.
Yeah, there's actually 2 of them now. You can sprint down the staircase, and if you stare at the scaffolding, you can actually hop up on it, or you can jump on the railing. The railing sometimes like slides you off though.
I wasn't aware of the second one.
I got you. Don't worry. I spend way too much time on this game too. It's perfectly fine.
Thought it was the railing one was the only way, so I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a bit risky if you try that.
Either way, trying to get on the scaffolding. That's exactly what he was trying to do. So looks like Bio has a hot mark on somebody, possibly on yellow. No, definitely not reaching that far, but the bullet tracers definitely tell some sort of tale on exactly what NJR is doing over here. So as that pulse lock down though. And he possibly sees his leg. He can. That's a lot of damage done to Bio as well. Just need Reed or someone to try and push their way in through Dragon, but then they have to worry about Laxing inside of Throne. Disrupt are stumped right now. Excuse me. But the first kill comes through for J9. That's going to be a big pickup onto Fox, but not very much time left on the clock.
You just make that into a new like combo verb, Disrupt. Either way, Shuttle is going to take out Vertical here, furthering the advantage for Disrupt within this round. It's going to push itself even further, man. NJR finds the next pickup here. Down goes Bio after he was forced into a corner about 30 seconds ago. Did not seem like he was really able to make a move out of that. Even if he was, he only had a little bit of HP left. Shuttle pushes the advantage even further. It's all on Laxing as he's finally returned from his vacation on the island. And unfortunately, he's only going to be able to find one more pickup from it. NJR quickly trades it out, and Disrupt will control their first attacking round.
Nice round here from Disrupt. Completely ignore the roam game. Just hold down the staircase to apply pressure into Throne and Armory, as well as locking down the rotations that those defenders can possibly take. Hit the execute on site and get a hell of a lot of kills. We really didn't get to see, you know, the most important part of that, but I mean, overall, really nice round there from Disrupt. I really wish we got to see a little bit more of the initial kills there, but it was just a very weird round for what Disrupt was exactly going for. Oxygen keeping everything very slow up until the last 30 seconds, and then DG just steamroll them.
Flexing a full sending the operator pick there for a minute, but he does 6-pick it back down to reality. No Caviar are going to be played out here today, at least not yet. I think we still have Villa in the map pool, so that could come up a bit later. But either way, that's going to be switched out over towards a Valkyrie. Lexi will be using that instead, with the rest of Oxygen now rotating back over to Throne Room, choosing not to repeat Lab for the second time, and instead go back to Throne, where they've already been able to successfully control a round a couple rounds back.
Well, Disrupt sticking to the one hard breach here. Retro's still the only hard destructor, and he's on that Thermite. Rest of the squad, though, rounding things out with quite a bit of soft destruction. The Zoe, Ash, and Sledge coming along for the ride, as well as the Flank Watch and the Nomad. So we'll see if this works for them going for Throne. But as we saw with Oxygen, once again, bringing a lot of hard destruction to handle this map, and that's usually the best application. Especially when you are attacking something like Throne, you usually have to burn through a lot of utility to get one of those walls open. And with Disrupt not having something like a Maverick, this could bode to be very difficult for them. But I will say this, they do have some frag grenades that could be of some assistance on getting this wall open, especially since the wall denial that they're mostly working with is going to be Mute Jammers and Electro Claws.
Fox gonna get spotted up more than likely pretty quickly here. Actually, I don't know if the drone went in or not, so he may have gone away unspotted there. Either way, Reeds is gonna catch him here in a moment. Shouldn't be too much of a worry for Foxe, but he does have to be cautious of someone quickly going up and opening the hatch, so he's gonna err on the side of caution and just fall completely back to the other side of the map and choose not to stick around, hoping to catch someone when they hop in from Dragon.
Can't blame him at all for that one. NJR's already pushed up inside of the office. Could have cut off his rotation at any point in time. So Oxygen, as you said, much rather err on the side of safety. See if they can possibly extend this round a little bit longer. Again, did a great job of that last time. Love to see him do it again, especially on such a low time. Those gunfights are going to be very difficult for Disrupt to win. That's going to be a low timer situation with a lot of nerves on the line. Oxygen one round away from getting map point.
A little bit of pressure on yellow stairs here that Oxygen have been made aware of, now starting to be cautious of any attempts to open up the wall. There'll be a lot of denial utility being focused on that for the foreseeable future. First half of the round already being used up here by Disrupt as well, but like I said, they've got a good amount of control, already having a player close to the yellow wall. Now it's just a matter of getting control of anywhere else they might want to try and take here for the actual execute, and then, of course, forcing it to that very end point. There's still a bit of roaming presence to be dealt with, and we're going to see an example of that right now. Laxing runs out, I think, to lower arcade, where he's able to chuck the Nitro Cell up on top and take out J9, eliminating the Zofia from play.
Well, the round is now in Oxygen's hands, but we've seen this before. See if DG can fight back on this one. Still very slow here in the last minute, but they have plenty of time still at the same time. Get some hard destruction done and try and get this down onto site, but Laxing's making things so difficult right now. He's not even the one that gets traded out. It's Vertical instead. Still some possible gunfights here. The Valkyrie gets down, and JR knows that, as you can obviously hear the audio. 30 seconds remain here in this 3 versus 3 as Bio's getting lit up on site, pushes into split, takes down one, could swing the door, but much rather play safe here as they're playing for that wall to get open. Retro and Shuttle, the last two alive for Disrupt. Could possibly be a bum rush here through the wall, but still playing things patiently. Do still have some stun grenades and some frag grenades that they could possibly use, but now everyone's swinging right out into the breach. Still have to worry about one inside of split. Shotgun in hand for Foxe, but it's going to be on the timer instead. Oxygen win round 10 and grab map point.
Really, really close round overall there. If we had seen Bio lose the duel he took at the split doors, that could have gone a completely separate direction, as more than likely past that point, we would have seen the site, or at the very minimum, Arsenal site, get swung wide open for the taking to the members of Disrupt there. Bio comes out huge in winning out that duel over there and split after even pressure from another part in that site as well, and I think really saves the day in that round for OXG.
I completely agree with you. There was a lot of things inside of that round for both squads where it was just a touch awkward, you know what I mean? Like, whether through vertical play or the pickups that happened, it was mostly on utility initially, especially with that nice nitro cell that we saw from Laxing, which really put DG onto their back foot. And then trying to obviously equal that man count is when everything soon tumbled down. Granted, Disrupt still able to get some kills there in the last instance to almost equal that out, but Oxygen just playing very strongly on site slowed them down, especially with that M590 like you were saying. But the thing for me especially is Disrupt is taking quite a long time to get any pressure physically onto the site, like getting the wall open, using utility on the site, stuff like that. I mean, even inside of the last little instance right there in the last little 15 seconds, we still had 2 frag grenades on a sledge and 2 stun grenades on the therm. You know, it's those little things that can definitely assist you inside of these rounds and definitely tells you that Disrupt is not getting to the site with the most amount of utility pressure that they possibly can.
Well, folks, hopefully Disrupt are going to be able to catch up on some of that utility usage. And what could be the final round of play right here. Oxygen now on map point to try and set themselves up to have an advantage in the series. Disrupt, of course, needing now 2 rounds in a row just to take this to OT. Let's take a look and see if they're going to be able to accomplish that. Usual pressure coming in from Dragon side at the beginning here with all 5 players pressuring from that side of the map. Few, of course, going to work their way up onto the roof to quickly take care of the hatches, but other than that, everything going to be working its way from an east start point to a west end point.
Standard clear here for Disrupt, as you were just saying. So we're going to have Bio on the front lines, though, with Fox and Vertical over inside of Initiation. So Oxygen just trying to put the nail in the coffin right now. They want these early picks, and if they're able to get them, oh, Bio almost able to bag one, but the shot goes wide right instead. Thought he had it, but now NJR has the bathroom control. Doesn't want to get back on this drone just yet, though. Anyone could possibly push him at any moment in time. Rather stick gun up in this situation. As for the rest of DG, they got to start applying pressure to the other side of the map. That's exactly what they're doing. You can see those silhouettes inside of security right now, working towards initiation. As long as Bio and the rest of OXG are able to hold this line, as long as they physically can, this is going to be a really rough round here for Disrupt. They need these picks in order to get some semblance of pressure.
See NJR really looking for some type of entry angle to work off of here. A lot of the utility being dealt with. That's going to take the prying eyes of Foxay off the angle for at least a few seconds here at least, but he's got 2 other players to support that one, so he doesn't need to worry about it too much. He can focus very heavily on this offish push if NJR finally decides to go for it. He did have support previously, but even he's lost that now as Reed shifts over for a moment, picks up a kill in the process. That's Vertical going down, and all of a sudden OXG no longer feels confident to hold this extended roam. 2 or 3 of their players going to start falling back to site.
Not exactly the worst thing in the world. You know, delay 2 minutes and you end up losing one of your players. Granted, it is Vertical, and he's had quite an impact in this game so far. Rest of Oxygen now need to step up to assist Laxing. He's currently at 14 kills. Guy's fragging out of his mind. Going into this last minute, though, Oxygen can close things out. This could possibly be the last round that we see Disrupt and Oxygen on Theme Park. Drone Economy getting a big shot here, but nice pickup by Foxay with the nitro cell. Equals that man count with only 30 seconds remaining now. This is when the execute has to come through for Disrupt. Slash Ugg holding things down inside of B. Still have a chance for some hard destruction here, but Retro's going to lose the case inside of Initiation. A follow-up shot here, but does not hit. J9, though, accurate enough to tag the head, but Oxygen just leaning on this timer. And JR and the squad pushing up. Yellow has to worry about one, but gets fragged out twice by Laxing inside of Cafe. It's all left down to J9, but he doesn't have enough time. Oxygen take Theme Park as we're going to be headed to Villa for our next map.
Laxing a lights out performance in that final round, getting the double kill in the hallways. And his opponents, or his teammate, I should say, that was sitting right behind Fending as well. And a rock in that situation didn't move an inch, even though he was the primary target, setting up Laxing for quite a bit of success. And of course, the rest of Oxygen in the process as well. Beautifully played by them on the first map after some bumps on the road, specifically in that very first round, but they still rally back and take full control at the end of the day with a 7-4 scoreline. Second map is going to be Villa, and that's the question that we lead into next, is are they going to be able to control that map, or are we going to see the bounce back from Disrupt? Any final thoughts on this map, Stokes?
Overall, a great showing from Oxygen specifically, showing that the entire team can carry alongside that top frag. We saw the scoreboard pretty equal, all except for obviously Laxing being the outlier. So offense-wise, I think that they're really back. When it comes to Villa, things could be a little bit different, but Theme Park's offense is definitely nothing to shake your head at. It's a very difficult thing. So I like what we're seeing from Oxygen. For Disrupt, though, things just seem to not be clicking.
All right, guys. Well, map number 2 is coming up right after this short break, so stick with us. We'll be right back with more action here at the North American League.
Taking the win on this one against DG. Let's talk about the highlights on map 1, Theme Park Valley.
This is the best way to start a highlight. Retro run around with just hiding in a smoke cloud and getting 2 kills. The man is a sneaky beaver, right? But it's all up to Oxygen. The first half was incredible. It ending 3-3. Laxing coming up with huge plays, being on top of the leaderboards for a great amount of time. But I actually love the fact that despite J9 having a rough time last time we saw his debut on this broadcast with his real team, he actually did pretty well this time around. He got some great picks, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's just not enough against Paul Logic, Fox A, Laxing. When these guys fire it up, it's hard to put that flame down.
For sure. And I think like going into the second half, we saw a lot of really great frags come out from the players of Oxygen rather than DG. There was one pretty nasty flick coming in from Vertical on one of those rounds where he just like swung over and found the head of the exothermic player. Yeah, Thermite. That was a pretty nice one, and all around, like, we saw some big plays coming in from both these teams. I thought Retro's plays really early in this map were quite impressive, and then this is the last one being played by Laxton to clean up those last couple of kills in the 3v3. That was really nice.
Yeah, and actually, Jesse, we were all talking about Retro's performance. He is definitely stepping it up. We have our statistics up on the screen right now, and you can see that he accumulated the most kills for DG. Jesse, we were saying this is probably his best performance of the season.
Yeah, up there for sure. Obviously, a couple of big plays in the first half, right? The Clash crouch walking through the smoke and mailing the planter. All right, it's funny, it's weird, but it works. It got them around. And then obviously that round where we got the 4K as well, just chilling with the shotgun, you know, it's not necessarily a huge aim play, but it's that game sense that really did get him the kills. I thought his roam clear when he went early in that second half was also quite nice to see, and when he was dying early, particularly on that hard breach, it was a pretty big detriment to Disrupt Gaming, and so I thought that just speaks to the impact that he had. Fell off the last couple of rounds, didn't really have the same impact that we know he had in the first 7 or 8 rounds, but still, I thought it was a great game from him.
Yeah, wasn't enough to get the W. Veli, I want to talk about the second half of this match. You know, you're always on Disrupt about their attack. Like, you're always like, I'm seeing problems here, but you've never really given specifics. But when we were just chatting a little while ago, you're like, you know what? I think I figured it out. I think I got my finger on what the problem is. So tell us, what is the problem, Veli?
You know what it is? Whenever I watch Disrupt Gaming, we see early picks happen, but it's mostly not from them, right? Unless it's NJR going absolutely off. But it's not about dying first that really affects teams late game, because you can still come out with the win. That's not always the case for Disrupt Gaming. I notice a pattern that when a player gets picked off early, the refrag or trade never really comes, and then it's a rack of kills that other teams get. And I even kept track of it. 3 out of 5 rounds was a first blood for Oxygen in the second half. 1 out of 2 rounds outside of that 3 of 5 was still a dub, because even though Oxygen got the second kill, they racked up more kills on top of that without a refrag. So let me just go down the list. It's going to be real quick, I promise you, okay? I'm not going to bore you. The first time NGR died to Slash Hug C4, there was no trade or refrag. 2 kills in a row then happened by Oxygen, and they won the round. Round after that, Vertical Wallbanks Retro. You all remember that nasty flick, right? Retro was Thermite. This is in bunks and daycare. He's your only hard breach. You need him. So him dying was just sad. Shuttle did get a trade, but it took a while, about 30 to 40 seconds. 2 rounds later, Laxing C-Force J9, and then he kills Reed. He kills not only J90, but also kills your flank watch player who's supposed to be watching Laxing. That ended in a W. And then after that, you saw what happened. I mean, Oxygen just ran through Disrupt Gaming. This has been a problem that has been haunting Disrupt Gaming for a while now. They die early, and then it's the succession of kills that happens after that. They want to be a better team. They have to stop doing that. They have to pick it up at the beginning of those attacking rounds.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, Jesse.
I just want to say one thing I saw from Oxygen Esports that we're starting to see a little bit more with this new meta is they're always bringing a couple of hard breachers. When they were attacking on this round, they always had either Ace and Habana or Ace and Capitao bringing that extra hard breach gadget, and we didn't see that at all from Disrupt Gaming, and that sort of causes the situation where if your hard breacher dies immediately, you know, you're in that really tough spot, and sort of that's how Siege has been played for a long time. But now with, you know, the gadget coming in and some extra hard breachers having really good firepower, you can play it a little bit safer and you can run more than one hard breacher. And I think that's something that Oxygen Esports really took advantage of here on Theme Park, and we're seeing more and more from more teams.
Yeah.
And gentlemen, we just got the results for our community poll, and the question was, who needs to step it up on play day 3, NJR or Foxay? And Foxay got 56% and NJR got 44. And we were talking earlier, Foxay playing better for sure on this last map, and yeah. DG needs NJR, so hopefully he can step it up some more. But any final thoughts, gentlemen? It looks like our teams are really close to being ready. So quickly, Jesse.
I don't know, this is always going to be an interesting map. Villa for Oxygen Esports, they go here a lot, but they haven't had a huge success rate. I'm interested to see if they can turn that around against probably one of the weaker teams in the NAL.
Veli, final thoughts?
I expect Oxygen to take this. Like, the attack thing with Disrupt Gaming is really starting to hit hard. I hope they do better, but I don't think it's going to happen in this matchup.
All right, well, let's get to it and get to map 2 Villa. I'm going to send it over to Blue and Stokes. Hey, gentlemen.
Hello there, Jackie, and thank you very much. We're very excited to get into map number 2 now. It is going to be on Villa. This is the pick from Disrupt Gaming. The question now is it the right pick? Stokes, what do we think of Disrupt's chances here to swing back into game number 2?
If we have an offensive set like we saw on Theme Park, I don't think that they're going to be winning Villa, especially with the roam game potential from Oxygen. It's a very scary thing. We talk about it all the time. I don't really see them getting through this. They need to fix those offenses, and for Villa, it's mostly going to be about how they're taking those and handling that roam game of Oxygen. They have to respect it, because the minute they don't is when Oxygen's at their throats.
Absolutely going to be the case. Oxygen have shown us quite an improved attack-sided performance, and now we really just kind of need to see the same thing from Disrupt here. Overall, the defensive side is not looking bad, and with this one being their map pick, we would hope that their defensive side is going to look incredibly strong and incredibly prepared for this matchup, and that maybe they'll have a couple special things to show us here as well in hopes of tripping up OXG and starting to get ahead. Though all that is kind of yet to be seen. We're just waiting for the teams to start themselves up. I think we're waiting on one side to ready up, and we should be good to start here. But overall, I am expecting still a pretty close match at the end of the day here between these two teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that aside, John, I've got something for you here. Sadly, you don't have it yet, but I do.
Soon.
Guys, it's the Acer Predator laptop. I personally speaking have the Triton 500, amazing laptop. I've been playing Siege on it all week from bed because I'm lazy, but I still want ELO. Make sure you guys go check them out. Look at those laptops. They're amazing to carry with you around the world, around the States, wherever you're going. You can game on a 140 hertz screen with some great internals. So make sure you guys go and check them out.
Don't worry, folks, I'll have mine soon. Either way, the game is going to be getting started here any moment. Let's get into the ban phase now and take a look at which operators are going to be getting knocked out and which will remain in play, of course. And that could prove itself to be very important once we get to see them. As like we said before, Disrupt is looking to bounce back from a very tough loss back on the first map. And unfortunately for them, they have to do it from the attacking side, which for Villa is going to make things a little bit more complicated as well.
Well, it really depends on what we have for bans here, right? The Thatcher coming in first, that's one that you and I both expected. We expected every single time that we go to Villa, or really any map. I'm always looking for a Thatcher ban. Possibility of a Maverick ban here, though, and that's going to be the real, that's going to be the telltale sign of what's going on for the offense. So they're going to have the ability to have a lot of separate hard breachers, but they're not going to have anything that's instantaneously easy. They're gonna have to deal with wall denial or whatever else is brought by the defense. I definitely see an ace in the cards for the offense, but along with a Wamai ban here, this is actually starting to equal out.
Yeah, well, my ban is going to kill a lot, especially like for aviation holds there. You're not going to be able to do that extended hold out towards main stairs as easily, as it kind of relies on Wamai with the extra shield there to play into it. There are other ways you could try to set that up, but it's obviously not going to work as well. You'll have to commit an ADS from a Jaeger to there, or which would pull one out of the site, stuff like that. Pulse is going to be the interesting final ban here. Pulse is used a lot on this map. He's not always banned out, though, but it makes absolute sense when you consider just how universally he can be applied to a defensive half on this map.
I completely agree with you. Pulse is a very impactful operator on a lot of maps across our entire map pool. Villa, especially one of the top end of Pulse's, plays, where we see him use a lot on kitchen, as well as just the downstairs being a wonderland for anybody that wants to use that cardiac sensor and try and assist their team. But obviously, since he's gone now, they're not going to have as much intel from the site that they're used to, especially on sites like kitchen. We're going to be heading to living room first, though. Let's see exactly how they set this up. We've already got a very interesting 6 pick as well, with the Lion coming into play.
And I believe we saw this same starting site choice being used. I forget if it was Disrupt or Oxygen, but I definitely remember one of them going to this previously when we saw their play happening last week. So this is starting to become more and more common as teams are adapting their play to be able to extend it out into living room. This is because you can do the top-down hold onto it as well. So a lot of teams seem to be kind of liking this one and are pretty comfortable starting off with it as their very first site selection.
I'll do you one better. It was actually Tempo Storm instead of that
I thought I saw
matchup.
one other team doing it too. My memory's not great on that sort of stuff, so I'll assume you're right.
My brain's like half empty. It's fine, man. I just stuff it in, just stuff it in.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I know I saw someone start on this site earlier, so it's not like super uncommon.
No, it's a really good site. I really like how they hold down the top floor, the utility placements, especially with like what Fox is doing right now with the Banshees. There's a lot to offer with this site, and it's mainly because it's very difficult to get a bomb down unless you somehow contest the upstairs and not give them any sort of pressure with the area that you're working with. What we saw a lot the last time was that north to south take, where they'd take over master, lock down any rotations to red stairs or anything along those lines, and then try and get a plant in on one of the single panels on the northern side of the living room. Now, that didn't actually work all too often, mainly because of the vertical play that was happening with the defense. So let's see if Disrupt runs into any of those same problems.
I think we should note here too, while we have kind of a slow moment here, is Malusi is allowed back in play again, which could help to swing the advantage back into the favor of the defenders a little bit after, of course, we saw the Womai man coming out, which is hurting them a bit here right now. And you can see, despite that fact, they're still set up doing this extended hold here at top main stairs, which I thought was going to be pretty difficult to do without the Womai, but they're making it work, thankfully, due to the addition of the Malusi and the Banshees, which can be used to kind of give you both an audio notification and, of course, physically slow down any pushes towards this hold.
Oh, I really like what Disrupt has going on here. So what they've done is they've actually moved NJR down into piano, as well as have Retro holding the 90s. So there's no rotations that can possibly come towards the top of main right now. This just means that DG needs to kill these members, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They get rid of Vert and Laxing. Still have one to worry about upstairs, but a drone can definitely assist in that regard. Actually, I have two to worry about. Bio inside of Gun Vault and Fox currently inside of Plains.
Tactical takedown, though, on that extended hold at the top of the main stairs. Nicely done by Disrupt. A clean start, too, with really only J90 taking damage because he had to directly contest the Valkyrie. And even then, lost a little under 50 HP, which means he's still in good shape to take at least another gunfight, obviously with some pending mixed results based on the angle advantage he may or may not get upon taking it. Either way, though, Disrupt with a massive advantage to build off of here. A little under a minute, so time is going to start to strain them a bit, but with the control they already have, getting to the site shouldn't be too big of a deal. Their biggest problem is going to be clearing out any pressure that is still upstairs, which, as you can see, is still very much there, and it will start to adversely affect the Disrupt roster here, as they are running out of time.
Yeah, well, the longer this timer ticks down, the more it lies in the defense's hands. But in a 1v5 with Diffuser now going down and EE1Ds as well, Smoke comes out, can't kill him. I don't even think that he knows the Diffuser's going down. Actually, he does. Slash wide swings, but gets immediately obliterated. That's a flawless round there for Disrupt as they just take their sweet time getting that Diffuser down.
Yeah, I'll be honest in saying that I didn't think that that was going to play out that way. I thought that Oxygen had some really great control, especially upstairs, but it never seemed like it was properly utilized, or that the fact that those players just actually couldn't really move that much and DG actually had them locked down, as it would appear to be the case, considering how quickly all of those extended roam players and even those that were closer to the site were just getting absolutely locked down the moment they tried to make any sort of move. The last man staying alive there, I believe, was the Smoke, who was the closest to the actual site, and even then, that player not able to put up much of a fight at the end. Really, really clean opening round from Disrupt. Great stuff.
You know what the weird thing is for me with Disrupt, though? It's the simple fact that the way that they move around the map is, it's very, very team play based, right? Like, they really like playing around each other and, you know, making sure that they have their supporting angle set up, cutoff set up for rotations and everything. But it's a very slow moving process for them. I don't know exactly, you know, why it is that way, especially with bans like we have right now. Granted, the Malusi can slow you down and she's very annoying to deal with, but when it comes to, you know, forcing people to move from a specific spot, that's really leaning towards your throwable utility, your stun grenades, your frag grenades, you know, Capital coming into play, stuff like that, where you're able to make people move or get some sort of pressure on them. Disrupt has a lot to offer with that, especially with the Lion and the, you know, good drone works that they had inside of that round. It was just very slow moving. They got those two initial picks, and then they just kind of leaned back and said, okay, Oxygen, let's see what you do. And they just held their angles. Oxygen eventually got picked off, and now it's Slash inside of sight all alone inside of a 1 versus 5. It was a very patient offensive round, which is something you're not really used to seeing because it's right in the name. They're the offense. They're supposed to be the ones doing things. The defense are the ones that are supposed to be leaning on that timer. It really feels like it's putting Oxygen in a very bad spot, though.
Either way, the playstyle's probably going to change up a little bit here for Oxygen going on in the next round, as obviously we'll be playing into a much more meta-established site. Working our way over here into dining room now. We still have that extended roam for OXG, most notably into the living room and library area, the site that we were playing into on the previous round. But this is going to be largely ignored by Disrupt. They don't see it as super important to control this part of the map at this point, and they're probably correct in doing so. Bio, as a result of this, is going to end up shifting back over into Tarps, and we'll play into that room instead. While Disrupt still work pretty quickly here to clear out the rest of the second floor. They're already up to statuary. It's over in Astro, though, where the main bulk of the hold is currently set up for OXG, and where Disrupt are going to have to spend a little bit more time clearing things out.
Well, they definitely have the time to do so. Vert already taking a little bit of damage, but nothing to call home to or about just yet. You have some presence downstairs, though, and this could be a nice rotation from Oxygen and get a nice early kill, as it seems that Well, actually, no. That's going to be Retro outside. I thought he was on the pantry stairs there for just a second, but Silhouette actually deceiving me. So Disrupt now with top control. So need to transition this into some good vertical play here and start on these picks.
Few players going to transition down one balcony over here. As we'll see, actually, Engineer is going to hop down 2 tiers, work his way into the basement, possibly start heading up the pantry stairs if the option is presented, but there'll be some pretty obvious interference in the way of that. The most obvious one being Vert still hiding out down here. Drone's going to spot him, though, so it's no longer a mystery. They can very much expect that play from him in the event they need to swing Garage. He's not even going to stick around for it since he's already low HP. Vert's going to back up towards the stairs and try to get into a better position.
Great patience by both teams right now. Disrupt looking for this initial pick still, slowly moving Oxygen back into the site. They have that top control once again, but the vertical play not paying off. Not too much of it going on right now either. Still 40 seconds, but right now this should be some pressure onto Slash. They do have some vertical setup though, specifically for tarps as well as the dining area, but that might end up bagging Bio a kill. He does a lot of damage to Shuttle. That's a huge amount, and that could change how this round goes.
Wow. Has to be very careful about his positioning, though, for that exact reason. Shuttle knows exactly where he's at, and he only needed a couple shots to take him down. Thankfully, Laxing's there a moment later to pick up an extra kill, and we're going to see J90, in fact, finding one for Disrupt here. Brings it down into a 3v3. A lot of damage being exchanged, but just not a lot of actual confirmations coming out from either team right now. One's going to get downed by Reed here. It's confirmed as well. Laxing's now out of the fight. An attempt to trade it back is successful from Foxay. Brings it into a 2v2, but now the plant is on the ground, and they need to work for a retake. The player who did plant it from Disrupt long gone, wanting to get out of there as quickly as possible so as to hold a better post plant. The other player is upstairs. Vertical seems very well aware of this and is looking to hunt that player down. It works out. He takes down Shuttle, and everything's on J9, who's going to have to probably re-entry back into Laundry to try and hold this post plant situation. Some attempts to try and find him from up on top look like they're being made there too, but J9 just holds the corner. Gonna try and swing around him. He sees the barrel. They know exactly where that first player's hiding, and a great connection on the transfer as well from J9. He shuts it down single-handedly as OXG assume he's still outside. A fatal mistake, which cost them the round.
When your extended barrel gets you killed. Very unfortunate there for Fox. If he had any other barrel on that gun, then he probably ends up living there, to be completely honest with you. He had no idea he was there except for some possible audio. Just very unfortunate for them. But overall, nice round by Disrupt. Great take up top, using that verticality into their favor. It was very, spotty upstairs, but it seemed that the areas that they did have control of through vertical play were utilized very nicely. So I don't really have too much to say about that. But for Oxygen, allowing these executions onto site and these very weird means, they were kind of spread out. They really couldn't play the dining area because of the amount of vertical play going on through there. So they favored the kitchen area as well as tarps, which ended up leading exactly to their demise. The Goyo shield, great utilization from the offense to delay more time as well as pick up that downed person in front of it on the Malusi. There was a lot of good things that came from Disrupt inside of that round. Now it's time for Oxygen to bounce back. These offenses now getting linked together by Disrupt for the very first time.
There was it seemed like an adjustment made between rounds 1 and 2 here for Oxygen, where they definitely wanted to play the roam game a little bit more passively, not try to force the fights. Like I said, I didn't get the full picture as to how exactly things played out for them on round number 1, but it seems like they wanted to peel it back a bit for round 2. That seemed to be a good strategy up until the execute, which, like you said, it was kind of allowed in a bit of a strange way there, as Disrupt did not look like they had access up until that point. But yeah, once it goes down, that's when Oxygen really start to struggle, as they just are not in position to retake, and things get very, very awkward from that point forward. They're trying their best to make it work. They do bring it down to the 2v1, but like I said, we had that bit of a mess up at the end, which ultimately cost them the round.
Yeah, that side as well, awkward to play without the pulse. You could definitely tell that they were starving for intel on exactly where the locations of Disrupt were. They were able to deny the plant for quite a long time, but even getting it down into the 2v1 was a godsend. The pulse definitely could have assisted a lot there, but obviously since he's banned, nobody having access to that. OXG keeping things close inside of the second round. I think they're on track to make some good progress here on their defensive half.
Let's see here. As OXG so far 0 for 2 on their defenses. They are going to shift things back upstairs now to play into these sites, which up until this stage, they've usually been the go-to for most teams here. But as of, like I said, this stage in the past few months, even we've started to see more and more teams feel confident in their first floor play to start off the map with. It seems like Oxygen, that was the case at the beginning, but no longer. They've gone back to the usual picks, now defending Aviation end games. This time, it looks like as well, Oxygen is finally going to be able to get first blood for themselves. J90 getting knocked out initially here as the Ash is taken out, and finally Oxygen have themselves a 5v4 to play off of.
That's a really big pick, actually. J9 having his best map that I've seen him have since joining this Disrupt roster. So, very good start for him, but obviously going to be sitting on the bench for round 2. First EE1D goes off, but that's going to be to the tone of Laxing getting yet another kill. NJR takes down the shield player of Slashhug, but a Nitro Cell sails onto the staircase, removes the life from NJR. So, all of a sudden, Oxygen barrel ahead, all at the cost of Slash.
Just so casually seeing that Nitro Cell rolling. Not much that NJR could really do there, so he just takes the loss on that death. He'll end up going down. Oxygen still with good control over the situation, but the round's not over just yet. Shuttle and Retro are going to try their best to turn this back around into their own favor. I have study control to work off of, along with top main stairs, but it seems like Shuttle's not too convinced of that main stair control. He's going to run down, at least quickly check things out, while we see Retro ace open the primary wall into sight. Not much being presented to him, though, and he's also now at a bit of an awkward spot, having to work against both of these angles, where we can see a member of Oxygen swing from at any point in time. Nice nade utilization, though. Shuttle's doing some fantastic work from downstairs. Just took out Vertical with one of them.
That was some super smart frag grenade play, but Foxay downstairs to nip that in the bud. Now it's all down to Retro in a 1 versus 3. The AK-12, a great gun, but Foxay just that much better. P10 Roni comes in handy up against the last target from Disrupt. Oxygen finally slowing them down and getting their first round here on Villa. Now, the defense going really well for Oxygen. The initial picks as well as the trades that they had, and also the stops that they had in place for when Disrupt went for certain things. Like, for instance, main stairs, great Nitro Cell play, and a very nice shutdown of what NJR was trying to do to get that control. It was a fight over study for most of this round for Disrupt, and they lost the battle at every single corner. I will say, though, once again, amazing nades there by Shuttle. They didn't even ping for those, folks. He just knew exactly where those positions were and that somebody could possibly be playing there. Amazingly timed. Even got some damage onto Laxing, but that kill onto the member playing right next to the plane's door to study, that was a hell of a grenade.
All right, guys. Well, another test coming up here for Oxygen as they do feel confident enough to go back downstairs yet again. They're going to do the kitchen defense once more. Second attempt at this so far, with Disrupt having won the first one. And now we're going to get to see if Oxygen can change their own course here and start to tie things up at a 2-2 scoreline with a successful reattempt of this site. As far as Disrupt is concerned, though, it's just going to be more of the same. They know there's going to be an extended Ramon game up here. They know they have to clear it. Just a matter of if they can do it in a timely manner or not. That's really the only thing that's been working against Disrupt, and even that in part is by design, so that's not even something that they're probably too worried about here.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
Back into kitchen. We're in a very similar, actually the exact same lineup as we saw the last time, I do believe. Could have a shift in Fox here. I don't exactly know if he was on the Valkyrie the last time. I want to say he was, but obviously could be the Mozzie as well that we've been seeing over and over again. Laxing actually might get picked off here early. He's in a little bit of a rat corner right now. Could possibly get that kill onto the Habana. No drones coming in here for this south and north clear, as Disrupt mostly look like they want master control.
Certainly going to be the case. We've got a couple Oxygen players trying to hide out here. Laxing, obviously, going to be the most notable of those players currently, all the way here in main lobby. Here's that drone over in library, so we'll be very cautious of it, but if he can dodge it and get into position against Reed here, he can make some big impact. He's going to walk past that drone. I didn't see anyone on it when we went off the third-person POV, but looks like Reed at least had an idea. Whether it was from the drone or based on sound cue, well, we'll probably never know. But either way, Laxing comes out on top of the duel there, knocking out Reed. Unfortunately, it's short-lived. Retro in a detached fight is going to be able to get the trade and take out Bio.
That's a very difficult fight for Bio up against that AK-12. Retro winning it out, but taking a lot of damage. So Bio, granted, you're dead, but did quite a bit of damage to the hard breach, and that's extremely important, especially after Reed got taken out. And that was a nice read by Laxing there. Knew exactly what was going on in that instance. Rotates right into living room, bags himself a free kill. So Oxygen once again slowing down Disrupt here. Still seems like they really want this horizontal attack, though.
Bert's got to be cautious, of course. He does have a player right to his left, and unfortunately, he's not cautious about it. So Shuttle, after knocking open that first panel, is going to be gifted a free headshot against Vert, taking him down, pushing the advantage for Disrupt even further now is going to be J9, who's had pantry access for quite a bit. He's going to be able to take out Slash. Finally, some trades roll back in from the Oxygen side. It's a clean one, too, which is exactly what they needed out of that situation. Problem for Foxay, though, is he's quickly going to lose his only remaining teammate. They do spot him outside, so they know he made this transition over into Bicycle, and now he's kind of trapped in here. Going to have to try his best to hopefully pick off one of the players holding the angle against him if he has any hope of getting out here and trying to clutch out the 1v3. Once again, we'll make the move. They are going to get the detection off along with the ping from the line, so they'll know exactly where he's at. They know he transitioned back over here to Laundry. Just a matter of locking down his angle. He's trying so hard to get any kills that he can maybe sneak off against the Disrupt roster, but just not really being gifted anything at all by said roster. And finally, Retro gets the angle to shut him down and give Disrupt their third round on the map.
Just the patience coming out from Disrupt on almost every single front. It seems to be that Oxygen's been really setting the pace, or at least trying to, on defense with these very aggressive roams, these early picks that they've gotten, but it really hasn't done a lot of damage to Disrupt's overall, scheme. Every single time they've been able to recover all except for once, and even then things seemed at least within the realm of DG having a chance. But right now, Disrupt every single obstacle, just walking right over it. And that was the thing that we were talking about on the theme park. It just seemed that Disrupt continued to tumble. They really couldn't find a solution to any of their problems. This time around, not the same team. And honestly, you could possibly chalk it up to the fantastic Lion usage by NJR. It's worked so well to get them not only site pressure, but so many picks.
And so following off that, Disrupt will continue to control what's so far been a very attacker-sided half here. Oxygen looking to rally things back once again with another upstairs site choice. They'll go into this one after failing for the second time downstairs in kitchen, also failing once earlier on in the half, back over on a library defense as well. After this one, though, they will unlock aviation and games, I believe, so they should be able to try and go back to that one more time if this one is successful, and they're still trying to look for a 3-3 half.
10 seconds to insertion.
Well, we are going to have some roam presence downstairs as Verd is reinforcing the pantry single as well as the laundry double wall. So
Attackers must locate.
sad news is obviously that pulse being gone again, going to make it to where that utility is going to be mostly leaning towards the Valkyrie there, trying to get my words out of my mouth. Black eye cams inside of Master is what they're going to be utilizing to try and get some nitro cells to go. They also have the vertical play through for the triple wall so that they can prevent any hard destruction from happening simply with bullets from underneath. So Disrupt is going to have to try and fight themselves into kitchen and worry about this roam presence, because if they don't, it's going to be most of their utility getting eaten up strictly off of just gunfire.
Well, already a little under a minute into the round here. Taking a look at some of Disrupt's initial actions, and not really too surprising here. It's this fairly standard opener for the attacking side against this site. A lot of pressure into the master windows. Eventually, we'll start to see players hop in. Hey, right on cue. Shuttle's going to take the first step here, and he'll move into the walk-in. No reinforcements on these walls either, so eventually he can swing that open if they want further angle access to the inside of the bathroom to start working outside of that to get Astro, and then eventually the site, of course. Bio trying to get a little bit aggressive there towards the door, does find a bit of a peek against one of the members from Disrupt, but not looking like any damage was actually exchanged at this point. He will lose part of the wall in a moment, though, so he's going to have to be careful with his positioning.
I'm about halfway through the round now. Disrupt making good progress. Have a good read on what's going on site now. You guys can see both of the shields have been ping. That's that ping 2.0 system coming in to assist some of the info game for these professional teams. Reed also getting a drone down low to see exactly what's going on with that nitro cell game. Foxay still downstairs and can be of the utmost importance if we get this into the later half of the round and the plant starts going down. So as for right now, Disrupt still dancing back and forth with trying to burn through utility. Confirm no ADS, get rid of one of the shields. Now their main objective, trying to get some Astro control, but Vert's there to try and slow them down.
Their drone charge being used by the Lion there. Not able to tell immediately, of course, if they got any intel off of that, but utility is still rolling out right now from Disrupt to try and deal with any of the shields or other defensive utility that was set up mainly towards Astro and, of course, Statuary, where it definitely looks like Disrupt is trying to send their hit at some point here. First kill of the round is finally picked up here, too, although it's very quickly traded back out there by Bio. NJR found the first one, of course, but he's already lost that advantage. Bio's not going to be alone holding here either. Fox is rotated back up to red stairs and will be supporting him from that side of the map. Nade going very, very close there to Slash, but he's able to crawl to safety as he moves himself deeper and deeper into trophy room, away from the angle over by the main master bedroom door. Time finally getting a little bit too low here for Disrupt. They're going to have to force the issue sooner or later, and out it goes. A mistake made by Bio as he swings out and is not ready to zoom in at that point, so he's taken out as well. A whole flurry of kills is found by Disrupt, and at this point it doesn't look like they can interrupt the plan. There we go. All of a sudden at the end of the round, looked like OXG had great control, but it turns out not to be the case as Disrupt brute forced their way into Statuary and win out the round.
Great round there from Disrupt. Oxygen, oh man, I don't even really know. They had a really, really nice read about what was going on inside of that round. We saw them adjust to play more players around the benches area, as well as, you know, maintain their presence inside of not only Trophy, but as well as on Astro stairs. So they had everything shut down that they really needed to, especially for what DG had at that moment in time. It was mostly master pressure that they had, and they were going to try and put that diffuser down inside of Statuary. So as long as they're able to kill them on the cross from the bench's door, or be able to flood sight as well as keep that presence inside of Trophy and Astro, everything should be fine, right? Well, wrong. Disrupt bowls over that entire plan, kills every single Oxygen member, and gets a diffuser down all in the same process. Amazing round there from Disrupt. They accomplished a lot with a little.
So, Disrupt's advantage will continue to blossom here, now at a 3-round advantage over Oxygen's round count at this point, and we're also heading into the final round of Oxygen's defense here. They really need to step it up, otherwise Disrupt could be looking at a great control over this map as they jump onto the defensive side after this round here. Certainly, they're going to be feeling very happy about their performance so far. Oxygen maybe starting to panic a little bit here. They need to wake up, and they need to do it on this round.
Well, they are going to have the offensive side to try and run things back as well, but as you and I have been talking about, this isn't exactly the map that trends the most towards the offense, right? So this could not be the most fun for Oxygen when they do end up switching sides. But for now, still in this defensive half, they have an extended roam going on as well, and dedicated some utility over to Trophy and Statuary to try and help Lax last just a little bit longer over here. Disrupt, though, going for the master take, already clearing out this area. Laxing should be read out pretty soon.
A little bit of quiet across the map, though, is of course there's some hesitance from Disrupt, as there usually is, but it's all based off of intel. Intel, which you just saw executed upon right there. Laxing nearly getting caught trying to fall back and get a bit closer to the rest of his team's setup. As such, he's going to lose a little over 30 HP there.
And not too damning, but he doesn't have a Nitro Cell running that shield to assist on site, and that's actually going to be 4 shields set up for the defense in tandem with that Goyo. So there's a lot of stuff for Disrupt to read into here and try and destroy. They have quite a bit of utility, though. Have 9 stun grenades, as well as enough soft destruction to go around and handle most of the things that they'll need in order to at least go for a plant. Bio playing aggressively towards the bus door here on this shield. Disrupt, this actually might be the thing to slow them down. This is a lot of utility pieces in place for Oxygen to play very aggressive angles.
And JR, nonetheless, though, nearly had himself a free pick on Bio. Just couldn't trace the outline appropriately when he finally swung up to try and take some shots against, I think, the player that was holding over in Study. Either way, though, as a result of that, he does get nitro-celled, and now he knows that there's a player below him. That doesn't mean he's going to be able to stop him, though. NJR is going to get shut down by Foxay when trying to move out of Statuary. And once again, Oxygen will have the man advantage at the beginning of the round.
Well, now for Oxygen, it's simply wait. Patience, patience, patience. Foxay with another pickup onto the other hard breach. Well, actually, one of the hard breaches of the squad right now. Retro still the other one, but Foxay with the triple kill now inside of round 6. He has Case on concrete as well. This is looking like an Oxygen round painted all over, but we've seen crazier things happen before. The last two that remain for Disrupt are Retro and Shuttle. Retro 7-0-2 right now, quietly popping off. Does have that AK-12 that is so good. Rips up Slash, but doesn't end up getting the kill. But with only 20 seconds remaining, are they going to have to go for these frags? This diffuser is well out of pocket now. There's no potential for them to possibly reach it. Slash gets the kill onto Retro. Shuttle, the last man alive. Oxygen all over round 6. Split this 2-4.
Definitely showing some life before we get to the end of the first half there, as Oxygen finally able to field themselves a second round. But it still does not take away from what was otherwise a very, very disrupt-sided half right there. Great control over so many different rounds, and much like what we saw in the previous map too, a couple of rounds being given over to Disrupt, but they really had no business winning them considering the positions and general appearance of the round up until that point. So great stuff from Disrupt on being able to make the best out of somewhat dodgy situations there for themselves and come out on top with a 4-2 scoreline from the attacking side.
I'm trying to remember exactly what Oxygen game it was. I want to say it was up against SSG possibly, or the Sonics. I can't exactly remember, but it was in stage 1 where they ended up going down on the defensive half, but the offensive side is where they ran everything back. So maybe we possibly have another one of those on our hand where Oxygen is just going to run up the score line on this offensive half. We'll have to see. They're prioritizing one hard breach this time instead of 2 like we saw on that theme park game. We saw Disrupt running it a lot as well with the ace and the Habana, but Oxygen only bringing the ace.
As long as it's utilized appropriately, the ace should be more than enough hard breach. So not going to be too worried about that, especially not against this attack here. They'll be focused primarily, I think, on clearing out the roaming game more than anything else, and then that hard breach, whether it comes in to clear out this extended hold or they'll use it for the actual site, that's going to be my big question, but we'll hopefully get a better glimpse of that once we get later on into the round. As Oxygen have got a lot to worry about before they even get to that point. First striking point for them, I believe, is going to be over here either in Master or Kitchen, depending on where they want to start the attack.
Oh, this is going to be a hot drone situation for Oxygen. Slash downstairs with Vert as they're droning out most of the area, but Vert not going to capitalize on anything. Everything's been cleared out downstairs. He now has some room to breathe. And obviously, since this is living room, the offense is going to be a little bit different here. Oxygen focusing on that master take once again, like we were talking about the last time that they ended up going for this site. They're doing a really good job of getting the early intel on where the positioning is for Disrupt, though. Already finding NJR inside of benches. So things already looking up for them. They just need these initial picks and to get these lines of sight established into sight. That's the most difficult part about this site, is getting the areas of the map that you need control of, specifically because of stuff like this. I honestly thought that they ended up getting him droned out since he shot that, but sits in the same position on the potted plant and ends up bagging himself a kill.
Waxing may not have expected him to stay in the same spot, and that may have been what tripped him up at the end of the day. Either way, though, NJR comes out successfully. He was probably the most important player they needed to kill, because as far as I can tell right now, it really doesn't look like Oxygen's going to respect the extended roam over an aviation at the moment. It looks like they're pretty much going to ignore that and try to brute force the site from the living room side, which should in theory work, but they do still need to clear out the roam presence at top red. And if they can't do that, then obviously the players that are in aviation game can just extend right out and still cause a problem from upstairs regardless. So this is a bit of a risky one from Oxygen.
It's going to be difficult. They have the utility to do it, though. If they're able to burn off site through obviously all of the ADSs, then they can utilize the smokes that Slash have to break line of sight and possibly get to that center pillar where they can plant. Clearing out the utility now, though, checking the vertical play here. Fox flirting with death as he's set up. He might be able to bag himself a kill. Pre-fires, but both of the bullets from both members of their respective teams going wide.
Still a few more things to open up here, obviously. Foxay waiting to try and see if he'll get another opportunity against the player that was peeked against him from that top-down angle. Where they're in the aviation. I think it's actually weapons closet where that player's hiding out at, but either way, Smokes are going to start to be utilized here. We should see the first plant attempt come out at any moment. Bio is actually going to be able to successfully pick up a kill against Reed. Now the plant attempt is being made. Disruptor panicking. You can see those silhouettes moving closer and closer to them on top. Oh, a nice play from Retro as well. Runs right up and just absolutely destroys Vert with the shotty. Now he's got a great position to work off of for the rest of his team as well. But Bio is going to be able to find another kill. He'll also get the confirmation off on a J9 here. Another player still down on the inside. So it's really all up to Shuttle to pull off a 1v3. And it's just not looking like he has the angles to work with here, trying to find any of these players, but he's completely surrounded. And at the end of the day, Foxe will not only confirm his previous kill, but also get the last one as well. Good start here at the beginning of the second half for Oxygen.
Oh man, what a plant there by Oxygen. Instead of going to the center pillar where we see the plants usually go down inside a living room where they hop up onto the little hutch that sits there, they actually ended up smoking off their own angle. Not the left-hand side, the prone angle to the right that the defense had made, and they planted on that wall for the soft destruction through the smoke. 100 IQ there from Slash. He knew that they were going to prioritize trying to clear him out on that table, but what happened? Immediately when they went up there to go check it, nobody's there. They don't exactly know where the diffuser's going down, and everything goes haywire. Retro starts going through smoke, has to, try and get aggressive with the shotgun plays. Nothing really panning out too well for Disrupt. Great plays there by Oxygen to shut down the game plan of Disrupt, even with that initial pick onto Laxing. There really wasn't any effect that the roam game had that it wouldn't have had anyways. So Oxygen, again, just a great showing from them.
Yeah, definitely some great adjustments to avoid the roam game, or to avoid dismantling the roam game, which could have potentially been an issue for Oxygen. We saw it was a problem for Disrupt looking at the last half there. And there's oftentimes some similar issues that we've been seeing between these two teams today, so it's not completely out of the ballpark to say that Oxygen would have struggled to clear out Aviation and Games too if they wanted to fully deal with that issue and be able to utilize the top-down perspective for themselves. Instead, just chose to ignore that, brute force the issue with utility, and it works out great. So nice adjustment from Oxygen. It's going to start off well into the second half, and now opens up some great comeback potential for them.
I really like what they do for Living Room, mainly because it prioritizes their utility going onto site instead of clearing the roam setup.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly why Oxygen does it. If they actually went across and tried to handle AVG, I don't think that's going to bode too well for them. They're going to burn so much utility trying to get into those rooms to handle the roamers. Instead, they can just cut the map in half, just set everything up drone-wise where they know where rotations are coming from, or utilize the air jabs to cut it right down the center for the hallway, obviously, that's upstairs for the 90 hall, and then go for the plant attempt on site. So I think it's a better game plan than what we've usually seen, which is trying to clear out that top floor. So we'll see if we end up going back to that site. But for now, we're headed to Statue Trophy. See how well Disrupt can hold this down.
Already a minute gone from the round here as well. Oxygen, as you, again, would kind of expect against this site, a lot of emphasis is going to be put, of course, onto clearing out the area directly below the Astro Stairs. That's going to be Kitchen. They've already done that. In a moment, we'll start to see some clear towards Master as well. Just kind of your second goal you need to work towards. And after that, Oxygen should be getting very close to being able to force the issue up into the actual Astro room itself, and eventually out onto the site. Not really sure what happened there with that smoke.
I'm going to assume a misclick, because that's not really going to have an effect on the wall.
Yeah, I was trying to think if it was like maybe to block Master Bath so they could hop in, but then I was like, that's not like the greatest use of a smoke. I don't know.
It honestly gave me flashbacks to a thing that the people used to do quite a long time ago. You used to smoke the wall and then nav torch a hole through it and then just push in.
They're not going to find that Electro Claw, by the way, because I know exactly where that is. So they have to do a little bit more work to find that if they want to isolate. It's on the other side of the wall. If you have to, I don't even think you can see it from this perspective, because it's above the top, where like the top-down view you can see right now. So
it's all the way up in the ceiling.
Yeah, there's like these. No, it's not even in the ceiling. There's like these little wood rafters a little bit above where the top-down can see, and it's like hiding in one of them. So they're not. I don't think they could shoot it from like the bottom to the top. I just don't think it's possible.
Nah, it more than likely isn't. Frag grenade goes down the staircase, lights up NJR just a little bit, but he's ready for the repeak. Good adjustment there in between the info game that they had, but now NJR is stuck. Air jab knocks him on his butt. Doesn't get capitalized on immediately though. This is going to give him some room to work with. Disrupt. Getting dismantling Oxygen right now. Nice pickup here from Foxe with that LMG. Plenty of bullets to spare as he sprays wide through the vertical play. Only 20 seconds remain though now. Diffuser in Slash's hand, and Disrupt still have vertical game that they can possibly utilize. Nitro cells in only one man's hand right now as the smokes go down, but the pre-fire from J9 from benches ends up with a case on the ground. Nomad now trying to pick it up. Fox, the last remaining member of OXG, but Disrupt all over the place here on round 8, able to clean up every single one of these last remaining members.
Smoke's just not really working out that well for Oxygen on that round. The first one appears to have been a whiff, and the second one leads to someone's death. But yeah, Oxygen overall, they're having a lot of problems getting past the master threshold and actually pushing out into either Astro, of course, or onto the site itself, ultimately getting shut down throughout the trades with the hold that was going on there. So great job from Disrupt on holding on. We saw Foxy trying to make an attempt to rot that back under his team's control at the very end, but it was a little bit too little pressure, I should say, a little too late into the round, and they just didn't have enough to force that back under their own control. So GG is going to respond after the first round is lost by them, and ultimately will keep the round advantage exactly as it was at halftime.
All right, well, Disrupt headed towards AVG now. Regular operators coming in line with that as well. Only one shield, excuse me, I take that back. Goyo in play, so actually 3 shields, folks, as in a secondary utility for him. That's his primary utility, as those things can explode with that gas tank on the back. So having 3 of those is going to help out Disrupt in quite a few different ways, especially with how aggressive Oxygen can get. Playing from one of those areas where you can get your own info simply through the slats and the shields makes things quite a bit easier.
So here we go once again, folks. Oxygen spawning any second now into the most popular site on this map, especially if you play the game casually. This is where everybody's going to be immediately locking themselves into, and Disrupt have a great opportunity to try and defend it here and try to lock themselves up for map point as well. Keep that in mind, folks. Disrupt are behind in the series right now, so this lead is great for them to try and swing right through and send us on to a third and final map. Winning is still indeed in the cards for them, which seems very much to be the case. NJR potentially going to get himself a really early fight here if he chooses to take it. But yep, exactly as I thought was going to happen there. He does have to fall back, as there's also pressure coming from the art studio as well. Could very easily leave himself out in the open if he stays in that angle to try and take the duel against the player trying to push from main door.
Oh, Fox breach charging into the hallway now, so they have most control, most of the control that they need for the south side of the map here, already establishing rotations inside of Piano, as well as being able to hold down the red hallway. Any late rotations do happen from Disrupt, but for Disrupt right now, it's mostly playing close to sight, and I think the farthest member we currently have is on red stairs. So Oxygen want to go for the study take here. Do definitely have to worry about Shuttle attempting something, but that's mostly going to be on to Fox. I don't see Shuttle getting too far away from sight here either, unless he possibly needs to nitro sell something from underneath. That makes some nice vertical play, though, into the red hallway. That could possibly beg him some nice kills.
Quickly going to use some of the impact charges here on the Zofia to hopefully get rid of that extended reinforced shield. I think it did indeed do the job. It looks like it did. It's going to knock... Oh, nope, didn't, as far as I could see. Sorry, our feed takes a second to give me the full clear picture there, so I had to take a second look at it. But indeed, the Goyo shield's still going to be there on the inside of the weapons vault transition.
Very slow beginnings here for Oxygen. Not very much movement. The first kill that we're going to get is NJR inside of 90. He takes down Fox, as this study take for Oxygen just not working out for them. They do still have the downstairs locked out, but they're going to have to adjust. Moving Laxing on over to 90 to try and alleviate some of that pressure. Bio smokes Retro as he peeks the door, and that was a saving grace that they needed on the ace. Now getting the wall open for games, but from the opposite side. This is really good positioning here for Disrupt, especially with where these breaches are going down. It's going to be difficult for Oxygen to bully their way into the site.
So Slash having a little bit of a death scare there. He'll still be able to keep himself up and ready to fight as they get closer and closer to the execution point here. Smoke's working their way back into gun vault. It'll block off access to that angle too. Doesn't mean they can't shoot from it though, and that could be problematic for them. But either way, no one going down just yet. Just some damage ticked off, and J9 is going to get finished off from behind the bar. Now they've been able to open up both angles. Furt is going to catch one back from the main wall as well. NGR will be able to jump in for an exchange, but it's the only one that's found. And unfortunately, he himself is now alone in this world. Finds a nice kill though against Biologic. Just 2 more to go to bring this back, but no, Slash will pick up the final trade there, knocking out NJR and giving the round over to OXG. Not going to be out of this fight just yet.
Amazing adjustment there from Oxygen. Early pick happens, then they immediately hop to adjusting over to the 90 window to apply some pressure to the back end of Disrupt's setup, and overall winning them the round. That was the things that they needed to happen in order to get those picks. And honestly, I feel like the game winning, moment inside of that round overall was Slash being able to stay alive because of Bio. Without Bio there, Retro kills him, and that round goes completely south for OXG. So amazing stuff from Bio to help his friend out and keeping him alive.
Not the first time that Bio has gotten a clutch in the moment kill to save his team in the midst of a round throughout the series too. He got that very important kill that he was forced into back at the double doors on throne room defense back on the first map too. So some very important plays being made by Bio tonight.
Well, we're headed back to living room here, John. This time it's in Disrupt's hands, though. So, see, they can possibly have a successful round this time around instead of a very cheeky plant. We saw go down from Slash. I'm assuming that they're going to be going about things in a very similar fashion, mainly because you guys can see the drone fiesta to the top right-hand side of your screen. They are literally everywhere.
So the big question here for Disrupt is how they kind of counter the counter to their own strategy that was found on the last defense here. Obviously, Oxygen able to really just brute force their way in through those two fireplace self-destructible points and kind of ignore the top-down setup. So what's going to be Disrupt's plan to make them not ignore it now and either force them to fight it or just better use these top-down angles to stop that push?
I don't even think that there's really a way that they can force that. They're going to have to more than likely handle things on a horizontal basis or try and get somebody downstairs. But as we saw from the drone setup from Oxygen, there is a ton of drones downstairs. You are not living. They definitely know that NJR is at least downstairs somewhere right now, unless that's him. Yeah, he's all the way down. So
right?
yeah, they definitely know that he's down here. We saw the drones spin up. So, and Fox is going to put yet another one to make sure that everything's clear down here. This is really going to be the chance for NJR and Disrupt to possibly get a flank off, mainly because of the air jabs that Laxing's bringing. He's going to split that map like we were talking about earlier, so there's not going to be really a chance unless they get Laxing killed early on like they did last time before he gets those air jabs down for them to have an effect in that way.
1 minute gone from the round here. As you said, a lot of drone work being done by OXG at this point, but not a whole lot of map control working their way over into the hands of the OXG roster. Just as of yet, there's an attempt from NJR to try and fight off the initial push. Looks like he got 1 to 2 shots on a Foxay, but besides that, not much happening, unfortunately, and NGR just no longer really controls the large majority of the basement as a result of them being able to swing past and get control of pantry stairs here. NGR is now got a choice to make. Does he stay here, hoping that he can make a play later on in the round? It doesn't necessarily look like anyone from OXG is going to go and hunting him down, and even more importantly, I think that drone just missed him, so he might be able to stay alive for a little bit longer as of yet. However, he just reveals himself with those shots there. Bio knows he's here, but nonetheless, NJR comes out on top of the fight that he's finally forced into.
Some very difficult showings here for OXG as they're not able to get rid of NJR initially, and they've already lost one of their members. The drone economy taking a huge shot as well, as it seems that we only have a possibility of 3 active drones right now. Fox, they have an active one. Bio, the dead man himself, has one active as well. Slash with the last remaining one. So not a lot of intel here for Oxygen in this last minute, as they've already ran away from NJR. They don't want to try and deal with him downstairs anymore. They need to focus on their site pressure. Gonna break open the right-hand side panel now. More than likely going to go for this utility burn, but Retro's already ready. He has 3 smokes still. Almost got himself a freebie there if he did end up pre-firing, but was mostly looking for the intel.
On the side of caution once again here, but nothing wrong with that considering how flashy sometimes we can see the Oxygen players try to throw their aim into these fights. Foxay most notably just getting that trade right there to bring it back down to a 4v4 and now putting his team a little bit closer to that execution point. Players moving in. Vert just dropped down a hatch. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not, but either way, Slash is going to try and start forcing the issue. You can see those tracers right next to him. Oh, they're able to confirm him just as the smoke fades away, and that's on top of a flurry of other kills against the OXG roster as well. Vert's left as the last man standing, and he doesn't stay that way for very long, as Shuttle is going to be able to take him out and secures another round for Disrupt.
What an amazing round there from Disrupt, and an amazing adjustment. Throw NJR downstairs, let him play his life, see how many gunfights he can possibly get in and waste as much time as possible. We were so tunnel visioned on that man downstairs that when I looked up after we eventually, the Oxygen rotated away from NJR and that whole, little interaction was done, Oxygen's entire drone economy was just gone. It was just gone. They had no info game at all on where Disrupt was, what was going on site. There was truly nothing there for them. All because of what NJR was able to accomplish downstairs. That round completely lands on his shoulders, as well as what the rest of the squad was able to accomplish on site with that delay. Oxygen just missing the mark by just a hair. It was still winnable all until Slash's smoke dissipated, and he was just stood right out in the open with 1 HP and a diffuser going down.
Yeah, Slash up until that point had barely just skirted by on being able to try and sneak the diffuser off. You could see how close some of those tracers were. But at the end of the day, the smoke ends up being just a tad short. And worst of all, his teammates don't have control of the site, so it's very easy to take him out at that point and shut down the rest of the round. Do or die time now for Oxygen, at least when it comes to Villa here. They still have the third map to look forward to if they drop this round, but they do have to win the next 2 in a row here. Otherwise, we will be at a 1-1 scoreline and on our way to map number 3.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
Definitely doable. They got the most awkward site out of the way, I would say. The one that obviously Disrupt can have the most effect on, which is that living room setup. Mainly because of Oxygen's map presence there, where Disrupt is able to have a very large impact like we saw in that last round. Granted, if they were able to get that pick earlier, then things could have went a completely different way. But now Disrupt upstairs in the statue and trophy, and obviously this is going to be a rudimentary site that we see all the dang time when we're here on Villa. Oxygen not going to be going for the master take, we're going for a study take instead. So now north, and that's the combination of north and south, north to south clear here for Oxygen. The drones continue to spin up, so Disrupt mostly playing on site. Don't see NJR's business. Well, actually, he's inside of Master here, so all of the presence for Disrupt mostly centralized around this area.
Pretty quiet round so far, aside from the random gunfire coming out to take down drones and the drones themselves rolling around here. I'm going to start to get low relatively soon here, though, for Oxygen. And we'll need to start moving in to take map control here, and that's exactly what they've started to do. So really right on schedule at the end of the day here for Oxygen. A few players either on the outside or just beginning their journeys to the inside of Master, and it looked like we had possibly 1-2 going study as well, though I don't know if they stayed on that side of the map. They did, actually. Foxay and Vert moving forward and actually making quite a bit of progress trying to get closer to the site here. They could pinch pretty heavily right now if they wanted to. Just obviously you have to take those gunfights in the process, and they may not have good intel, but hopefully the drone that just worked its way into statuary, on top of what I'm assuming should have been at least 1 or 2 other drones at this point, is giving them good enough intel to try and push for this.
Oh, Oxygen have everything shut down right now from Disrupt. They have the master control, they have the wall open, as well as presence at the top of red that Disrupt cannot dispute right now. They're mostly centralized around sight, laying on these shields as well as some cheeky angles. Foxay gets burnt off one. Slash with the refrag though. He's able to pick him up. Smokes in as Slash is trying to smoke off the left arch. They could be going for a plant here, but he's just planting on concrete. And there's no true way to stop this from happening unless they just try and pre-fire through. Slash has got a plant. OXG have a chance.
Great post-plant positioning here as well. The red stairs flank is going to be one of the most important moves here. Lax looks like he gets caught by that, but still comes out on top of the duel. Takes out Shuttle. Slash finds success in picking up another player as well here. Finally, a response rolls in from J90 as he starts to move in and take better control over towards Statuary. He's got the diffuser, but are they going to be able to do anything with it? That's the question, as now everything is down to J90 here, and unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do anything with it. OXG shut it down with perfect post-plant positioning and take round number 11. Still not letting themselves fall out of this map contention just yet.
A very reserved Disrupt on this round. No real roam game or anything to try and slow down Oxygen, especially coming from the study side, and they took full advantage of that. What an amazing round from them, taking that top red control, getting Master open, and then eventually transitioning that into a pretty cheeky plant onto concrete. I mean, there's not really much to say. Disrupt was just outplayed on that, played very reserved. The gunfights really didn't fall into their favor. It was nothing more than that. But they're headed towards Dining in Kitchen for their last defensive round of regulation. We have a 6 pick as well. The Maestro going away, picking up the Valkyrie, seeing if they can possibly get some picks early on with these Nitro cells.
Yeah, that round evolved really quickly, so we didn't necessarily get the best picture for what exactly was going wrong on the DG side, but it seems like maybe map point kind of got the better of them there, and they played a bit too conservatively, allowing for Oxygen to take control of, the entire southern quadrant of the map without much contention whatsoever. And from that point forward, once they get control of areas like top red, they're thinking, well, we can just go for the pinch, and that's exactly what happens there as they take statuary control.
Exactly, and that's the most difficult and the most beautiful thing about Siege, right? There's so many things going on that we can't possibly talk about all of it. Like one round can take you up to like an hour if you really wanted to, and break down what everyone's doing, why they're doing it, and so on. So like, looking at it just obviously as it's coming to us in the rounds, it really did seem like Disrupt had that reserve style of play that they've been having throughout the day, and it's actually worked really, really well for them. It's been pretty beneficial, but that time around, Oxygen matched that same energy. I think that they really caught on to what Disrupt's game plan was, and they've slowed themselves down a lot. They put a lot of emphasis into the info game. I mean, look right now, folks. They're droning out this entire bottom floor. They're droning out the upstairs. There's a lot of positive things going on for Oxygen here instead of just bullying their way into the map. Good roam clear here, forcing Disrupt back.
And
What's up, buddy?
And much like the last round, again, they see that there is no presence on this side of the map either. So XG has taken a good half the map already here, and we're not even under the 2-minute mark just yet. They have a lot of time, and they should have a good amount of drones. Yeah, indeed, they've only lost 2 of their drones here so far in order to figure out if anyone's roaming upstairs, and then, of course, being able to do that downstairs as well. So Oxygen doing really good for time right now. It's just about the actual initiations at this point. That's the only remaining question about how they're going to perform here in the early round.
Well, this is a must-win round here for Oxygen, and they just got some free intel as to where one of the members are for Disrupt. Inside of Master is NJR, but I think he's got the hatch open so he can eventually skip on back to site if needed, but Oxygen doesn't have enough pressure upstairs just yet to force all of the Disrupt members back. J9's actually going to fall off as NJR is still upstairs, but finally comes down the astronomy stairs. So looks like Disrupt full on abandoned upstairs halfway through. This is going to give Oxygen a lot of time to work this vertical play. This is going to be all on to Bio to open up most of this.
Step number 2 done now for Oxygen. Just need to get themselves into the site. They'll be well on their way to another round victory and a potential OT here. But this is oftentimes where Disrupt has given Oxygen the most trouble. Finishing out their goals here has been in the site hold itself. Doesn't mean that Oxygen have been completely unable to get past it, though. Still a few rounds where Oxygen will come out on top here of the attacking side as well. So this will be a close one, folks. Next 20 to 30 seconds are very, very important on deciding who will have the advantage when the actual execute finally rolls in.
Now, well, no hard destruction just done just yet, and that's going to be a big factor in where this plant's going to be going down. Looks like they're going to prioritize laundry. Not a bad shake at all for Disrupt. They're set up mostly for it. Still have Retro inside of tarps to be able to play some sort of prevention as well. Reed with an early Nitro cell into the later half of the round. Doesn't bag too much.
It does kill the Selmas, though, I believe. So it stops that from being breached open, and he had to use his third one, though.
Oh, that's a big pickup there, actually. So they are still going to have the wall open. Laxing with the initial frag here. On to Reed. NJR taking some damage as he executes going through now. Only 10 seconds remain. Need this frag to go through. Fox gets one, and this LMG's paying off for him. Doesn't have to reload, but he's also got to do double duty. He's got to put this diffuser down. Laxing has to win this gunfight, but he can't do it. Oh, but he gets saved by Bio inside of China. Diffuser goes down. It's left up to Shuttle as he makes it a 1 versus 1 up against Biologic.
Coming down to the wire here. Now he's going to try to find him on a top-down angle, and he nearly just had it too. Bio is able to dodge this for the time being here. Shuttle's about to approach another angle. It's not going to find him from here. 25 seconds still remain, though. He's got a lot of time to play this out. There's the feet, and he sees him. He's dead to right. Shuttle takes it nice and slow for the win, and is going to come out with it for his team. Disrupt will take map number 2, 7-5 here, as he should have just enough time to get back over towards that diffuser. And there you go. They've got it. Disrupt Gaming are taking control of the second map, and we're going to a third and final map to settle this series.
What a round there between these two. Came down to the wire, but it's all up to Shuttle inside of that 2K from the vert play. It worked out extremely well. Disrupt win Villa 7-5.
So close, and it did really seem like Oxygen were starting to wake up towards the very end of that, but unfortunately not enough to come out in the clutch there in the final round itself. And Shuttle just having too much control, it seems, over the top-down angle in order to win that one out. Just plays it nice and slow, nice and cautiously, keeps checking those top-down angles, and hey, eventually he does find Bio and gets the win on the round. Very good stuff there indeed by Disrupt. A lot of other great things happening across both their attacker and defensive sides, and now we get to see how all of that builds itself up into map number 3. Isn't that right, Stokes?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think going into this last map that we're going to actually have a really good matchup. Both of these teams adjusting to the other's play style is going to make for a very fiery I believe Cafe, if I remember correctly.
Yep, it will be Cafe, folks. So don't go anywhere just yet, as map number 3 is right around the corner. Stick with us, and we'll be back with more action right after this break.
And welcome back. DG defeating OXG on Villa. We are breaking down the highlights now. Veli, another barn burner. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so Jackie, you know how I was talking all that trash about Disrupt Gaming's attack last map, right? Mm-hmm. Well, on the flip side, going to Villa, it was J90, Retro, and everyone else that stepped up and made sure that this team ended on top. J90, Shuttle, as you see on the screen, yes, Foxay had his moments, Bio had his moments, but Disrupt Gaming, they were just all over the board, man. Clutch after clutch, no matter how many rounds Oxygen won, it seemed like they just always had an answer. They had like, I don't know, Jesse, it seemed like short-term memory. They would lose in the next round. You just see them just go completely off, man.
Yeah, I definitely get that feel from this game. It certainly felt like less of a big frag-heavy map. It certainly felt like there were less highlight plays. There were a couple big ones. We saw Fox's 3K on the roam a little while ago, probably my favorite play of this map. You know, it's even kind of reflected in the final round where there was that 1v1 from Shuttle where he's just getting the kill on Bio and Bio's not even looking at him. It's like, that's kind of how this map felt. There weren't a lot of like really big plays, but the strats were really interesting, and this one, you know, had a really good build-up as well with Bio covering, and it was really a roller coaster as we didn't know who was going to win this round. Just a little bit of anticlimactic kill at the end there, Shuttle. But at least, you know, they're getting the win off of it, and it certainly was nice to see Disrupt Gaming claim this map.
Was that Waffle in his socks?
Yeah, it was.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, don't hate on his socks, Veli.
I love Waffle.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, moving on, we do have our stats up on the screen right now. And NJR, Shuttle, Retro, actually the whole team doing pretty well for Disrupt. And Veli, we were talking about their individual play. Let's start off with J90, who we were a little hard on at the beginning of the map, so...
No, you know what? We weren't hard on him. Jesse was speaking straight truth, okay? We never question what Jesse says, big brain for a reason. But J90, let's face the facts. He had a poor outing in his first game with Disrupt Gaming last week. But starting off on attack this time around, J90 getting first bloods. Shuttle winning some big boy 1v1s. I'm going to tell you now, Shuttle handled this 1v1s like a man. I was happy to see that. But it was just a team coming together as a unit. Jesse, you were absolutely right. It wasn't a one-man highlight reel. You know, we didn't see one or two players pop off. It was the whole team. And I think the most important part about this is the fact that Retro is now standing out more than ever. This is like Retro on Coastline over and over and over again, back to back to back. But I mean, also, they took advantage of Oxygen's worst map.
Yeah, without question. I do want to talk about OXG a little bit. Not their best. And actually, we were chatting and we were like, their history with Villa, it's kind of been a struggle. Not great. Jesse, you feel like they should ban this map. And like, why are we on there then?
Yeah, as of now, this is Oxygen's most played map inside of the NAL. It wasn't picked by them in this series, but they've picked it a lot in Stage 1. And the stats don't lie. They've won this map one time. I can't even like say my words. This is so baffling. One time in the last year, and that goes back obviously to when they were Reciprocity and they had different lineups. And I get at, you know, those previous stats aren't too memorable, but they've still played this a lot in the NAL, and they have not found very much success in it. I think we saw that a little bit in their defenses. They didn't really impress me much there. They started things off going sort of the trendy bomb sites, like, oh, we'll play downstairs, we'll play living room library, we'll play kitchen. They failed. Like, living room library was addressed really well by Disrupt Gaming. They kind of copied what DG did last week, and DG dismantled it perfectly. And then we saw them get kind of stolen away, right? The win on kitchen from that clutch coming in from J90. So they went back to the more traditional bomb sites on defense. They ultimately only won on Aviator Games. So it's just this, I'm really not loving Oxygen Esports on this map. And some of their takes were good with the smoke plants. They used a lot of smoke on attack. Some pluses, some minuses. They weren't all great. Again, their kitchen or their library attacks were somewhat questionable, but they ended up pulling off one in the end. Yeah, it was still not looking like a good map for Oxygen Esports, and I'm going to keep questioning this as long as they keep going here.
Okay. The most important part of a matchup is the map ban phase, and Disrupt Gaming definitely won with that pick. Actually, the last time, well, Oxygen, they played Disrupt the first match of the season on this map. They won and then lost 4 times after that, so.
That's the one in the last year.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, gentlemen, it looks like we're very close to being ready here, so I'm going to toss it over to Blue and Stokes, Map 3 Cafe. Super excited. Third map, gentlemen. All right, Blue and Stokes, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Jackie. And once again, we are set and ready to go for the third and final map of the series between these two teams. It's been a very interesting battle to watch so far, and more importantly, to see how these two teams have evolved their playstyle over the course of the series to dance around each other. Now it comes down to this, our third and final map on Cafe. Stokes, what do we think of it?
Oh man, if it comes down to it, you're telling me to put my chips on the line, John. I personally speaking, I'm gonna have to go with Oxygen. I really am. The main reason is we're through the thick of the woods on Villa. As you guys just heard Jesse talking about, they haven't had the greatest showing on Villa within the last year. But this is a completely different map. This is Cafe, and Cafe plays somewhat similar to Villa in certain regards, especially with like the utility game. Like, you have to respect utility a lot on Cafe, especially from the offensive side. If you don't hold on to your utility and use it properly, you're going to be feeling pretty bad when it comes down to those last 30 seconds and you realize you can't get a wall open or something along those lines. So as we jump into Cafe, I feel like Oxygen's going to take it, but Disrupt could definitely have an entire separate game plan. Let's jump into the bans.
All right, let's take a look indeed at the bans, folks, and just bouncing off of Stokes' point real quick. The stats actually do agree with you there. Oxygen does have a much better win rate overall on this map. They've played it 3 times recently they played it, 3 times recently, being able to win it 2 out of those 3 times, compared to their opponents, Disrupt, who's played this 4 times, but has only won it once. Disrupt's obviously like a little bit harder to peg with maps, just because their map stats are super spread out amongst the entire pool, but that should hopefully paint a pretty good picture for you guys, at least between the two teams, as we get ready to jump into this one.
For how the playstyles also, transcended both of the previous maps that we've played, I feel like Cafe is the perfect finisher, because Cafe really is about balancing, how much pressure you're putting on the other team, as well as that utility game. And both of these teams, as you were saying, as we just came back in, have been dancing around each other for both of the previous maps. So Cafe is going to make it to where it's a little bit more close quarters. It's going to be a little bit more in your face, as well as that utility usage going on. So we could see some fireworks.
Super utility focused bans coming out here, as obviously it's been completed now. Thatcher, kind of what we expect. The same can be said for Mir, but there's still two very important pieces of utility. Capital and Omai is the exact same thing. We've already talked about why Omai gets banned out. Capital is usually really popular pick for attacking teams on this map as well. So just getting rid of that additional both smoke and of course incendiary utility is going to help the defenders to breathe quite a bit here.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say is that the Capital ban has to fall in line with the Wamai ban if you're not going to use them on your offense. You do not want to give that to the offense at all, because now Capital no longer has a counter as well as he has secondary hard breach. Yeah, that's a no-go. We are definitely not going to be going through with that. So Capital banned out. Thatcher banned out, but that is going to leave a lot of hard destruction options up. Specifically the one that we're going to talk about, the Maverick. We might be seeing Maverick get used a decent bit, but we also could be seeing what Oxygen's doing right now before I look over. The Twitch coming into play. This is something that we don't see a lot on other maps, but on this map, we've been seeing it more and more often. It's kind of difficult still to use, obviously, with how prevalent Mute is, but she still has a very, very big impact if you can get those drones into sight.
So the drone can be a bit more stealthy sometimes if you're able to position it in the correct spots. That's where it can really sneak in and wreak some havoc, taking out multiple pieces of utility. And very important ones of that can include things like Denial that are currently not being watched. So Oxygen will have to keep a close eye on that drone and see if it's able to get away with taking out any important pieces of said utility. Oxygen, speaking of which, are now out onto the board, having spawned for the first time, and we'll see how they fare against this kitchen defense from Disrupt. Once again, keeping with that trend of not going to the most obvious site right off rip here, but this is still a very, very popular pick for a lot of teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, when it comes to choosing your site that you initially want to go to when you do start defense or when it gets to your half, right? It's mostly game planning what you think the offense is going to think that you're going to do. But at the end of the day, most of these sites are played, especially on Cafe. So you more or less bring the Swiss Army knife of your operator lineup, right? You're going to bring everything that you need to handle any site. And that's exactly what OXG has done here. They've brought the hard destruction. They've brought the flank watch with Laxing. I really like to pick up with the gridlock, especially because it's Cafe. Lots of staircases to worry about. And she is damn good when it comes to locking down staircases, as well as a lot of soft destruction. So they have everything in the cards right now to be able to handle any site that Disrupt throws at them.
Let's see if that lineup is going to be indeed good enough to handle the pressure. There's a little bit of an extension from Disrupt now, since they haven't had any immediate pressure on the kitchen here. Right off of the start of the round, they were very turtly, it looked like, but no longer the case here, as they're taking some more aggressive stances to try and see if they can catch Oxygen, as they'll begin to try and open up angles towards the inner sight. Now that we're getting lower on the timer. Some attempts to open up areas around the hatch there, I believe in hopes of taking out the Denial utility that's on it. First attempt at that at least is unsuccessful, as Shuttle still has his electric wall on that kitchen hatch.
We do still have frag grenades in Fox's pocket, so we could get rid of it in a couple of different ways, but it seems that Vert wants to use his breaching round to do so. I believe that's exactly what they're doing right now, but still, that Electro Claw lives. Don't exactly know where it is either, so this could be a pretty difficult thing. I believe it's actually stuck inside of the hatch.
Yeah.
Either that, there's no real area in here to abuse to where it's unpreventable from getting open.
Got it.
Finally, yeah, that breaching round will get that, which means 2 aces down, and we're now going to have a hatch open for freezer drop. Hopefully this doesn't go like we saw in previous Oxygen games here, where everyone just ends up dropping the freezer hatch.
That's a lot of utility used to get that job done, though. Good news is thankfully the second half of the freezer wall is left soft, so they can just have Sledge take care of that if worse comes to worse. But the bad news coming out of that is it does mean that we have the extended hold for this. J9 holding out in Christmas currently. That nade also not killing the shield for some reason. Laxing as well here, going to be able to get the first kill. That nade also not killing the shield. I think it's going around the corner of that wall and eating up most of the damage, I think. That one might have gone a bit too far, but the first one, yeah. Either way, you're going to try and force the issue, and the shotgun will kind of dominate it, as you might expect. J90 with 2 quick pickups here completely kills the white stairs push. He is going to get traded on going back as Bio finds the angle against him now that he takes Crispus. He's going to quickly group up with the rest of his teammates, though, as the plant attempt is being made in Deep Freezer. He's going to be able to come very close to catching Retro. In fact, he survives that encounter with just a single health point. Retro doesn't seem to be aware of where the plant goes down, though, so Slash is currently hiding in the smoke. Finally gets his opportunity to strike back, but is ultimately shut down by NJR. This round's not done just yet, though, as Laxing's still alive and well up on the second floor, holding the post plant currently, and he expects NJR to swing up white, but oh my god! NJR showing up out of nowhere with a tap onto Laxing's head, takes him out, and he still has plenty of time for the counter defuse.
That made me make the face. You know when you listen to really good music, but then the drop happens and you weren't ready for that? You make that like, ugh, that face? That's what I just did right there. That was disgusting what NJR just did to Laxing. Amazing, amazing stuff. Mechanically gifted you are, NJR, let me tell you. Overall, really nice setup there from Disrupt. They were ready for the white take. That's what that shield and the VIP play was going on for. That was the whole thing right there. They wanted Oxygen to take white, and that's exactly what they did. They were set up really, really well for it on both sides. Ended up getting that diffuser down in a very weird instance, but again, great play there from Slash. He's getting better at putting these diffusers down in these very harsh scenarios. Again, smoking himself off, getting that diffuser planted. There's so many good things that's happening for the offense inside of that round. It just came down to who won that last gunfight.
6 pick into a clash going to be utilized here by our defenders. Disrupt try to hide that one as they now move up to the second floor for the next defense here after just barely coming out with the win there due to some good play from NJR and on the clutch in a very, very big way. It'll be the fireplace and the library defense here now for Disrupt. Obviously going to have to spread themselves out a bit more. Can't just fully focus on the first floor defense anymore. They definitely will need to play extended a bit up into this third floor hold towards Cocktail and top white.
I'm interested to see how Oxygen's going to handle this. We're going to have the same lineup that we had previously. Bio on the Zoe, Vert on the Ash, but actually, did we have Bio on the Zoe the last time? I don't believe we did. I want to say not, but could be also wrong, which is perfectly fine as well.
I think we had a Zoe. I just don't remember who was on
Okay,
it.
then it was probably Bio.
Yeah.
I'm probably just having a brain fart. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. It's all good. Anyways, with this lineup that they have, there's not really a chance for them to try and go for, you know, anything besides going from west to east here. They could obviously go for the train hold, but obviously they're not going to go for something like a cocktail take, especially because of the bomb site. You're not exactly going to walk into B to try and handle any of that. So Oxygen set up pretty well here, at least operator-wise, to handle everything that's going to be ahead of them. Now, the real thing that could slow them down quite a bit is going to be Shuttle on that Clash. He could burn up quite a bit of this utility for Oxygen, especially from the likes of Biologic. He's going to be the direct counter that Oxygen will at least attempt to implement in order to counter him out. Those concussions can be extremely useful.
So some top control now starting to work its way into the hands of OXG. Bio, of course, the first one to step up to the plate there as he drops down a red hatch. It's not where really any of the defensive setup is focused, of course, as at least one of them will get spotted out by a drone now. That's NJR being noticed. Not going to be too much of an adjustment for him, though. They basically expect players to be here, so him getting spotted on the drone is not a big deal at all. It's all about how the rest of these players maintain themselves. You can see they're going to be using the Clash to really just block off any attempts to swing through the big bar here if they try to do it. Obviously, a Shuttle will make that call out and hopefully have a player there supporting him within a moment's notice due to the other two being just a couple steps away.
Well, slow half to the round here for Oxygen, but what else would you expect? Slowly making their way towards the cocktail side of the map. Disrupt has a good read on this, though. Still have utility, a lot of it, actually, as we just peek around the corner here on Reed's perspective. Still have 2 ADSs to assist Shuttle in holding this down. This more than likely is going to be a train take here from Oxygen. They don't want to deal with that cocktail take. So, actually, could be a nice little adjustment here. They went for the Pillar's Wall instead. We could have a plant onto Reading. I really, really like what Oxygen's doing here. They're just cutting things on the red 90 and making it difficult for Disrupt to fight up the hallway.
The only problem that could come in here is Disrupt should be aware of what's happening currently. We'll come back to this in a moment here. A whole flurry of trades is going to start between the two teams and ultimately brings it down still into an even 3v3. That's until NJR gets another piece of it, though. And he's going to be able to add another one to the kill counter here for Disrupt and bring Oxygen down to 2. They've got the plant down, though, and it seems like they did miss the message on the actual play. Laxing as well able to kill Shuttle with the track stingers, taking him out. Curious as to how that happened. But either way, it's going to take Shuttle down. And leave Laxing and Bio still up, standing at full HP here for Oxygen. Bio bringing it down to hit 1 now. NJR trying to clutch, but is not going to be able to do it. Oxygen quickly bounce back and take the second round for themselves.
So to answer your question, they upped the damage model on her track stingers like a little while ago. So they actually do some damage now.
I saw the health bleeding down, and I was like, how's he dying that quick? And there you go. That answers the question, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess he wasn't aware of that change because
you don't play against her a lot.
No.
So when you do step on the tracks, you're like, oh, it's old track stingers. And then those things nuke your health. And you're like, oh, this is a really bad idea. I can't blame him at all, man. I'd have done the same exact thing. So very unfortunate instance there for them. But Oxygen, great round. Great round. We're going to have a Warden pickup. Let's talk about that for a second. Warden, an operator we never, ever see. But I'll tell you exactly why Disrupt's bringing him. Is because Warden gets to see through smokes, folks. If you don't know what Warden does, he has a very special pair of glasses. And no, these aren't the Ray-Bans that your parents wear. These glasses can not only see through smoke, but they also prevent Warden from being stunned. But he has to have them on. That's the one caveat. They do have a battery life, and it's not like your new iPhone where it lasts forever. Oh, no. These things last for about 6 seconds. So you have to kind of pick and choose exactly when you're going to utilize those, as well as with the animation used to turn them on and off. It makes it to where you can't just spam it on and spam it off. It's actually got a pretty good amount of balancing around it. So we'll see if Disrupt can put him to good use.
he got a scope too, if memory serves me correctly, right? He got the 1.5.
1.5 on the MPX.
So he's got a little bit more versatility as a result of that too. That 1.5 for defense, at least in my opinion, is actually really smooth to use, especially if you're trying to just quickly isolate out a headshot angle or something like that. So you can get some pretty dirty shots off on him now, where it wasn't so easy to do before.
I love it for this position right here that Shuttle's playing.
Yeah.
That 1.5 times scope assists so much, especially with the gunfight that he's going to have towards Ticket. You guys can see him looking at Ticket window right now, or over towards the new balcony where NGR is currently positioned. He has a lot of chances to take these long gunfights. Granted, the MPX at range is an absolute snowball thrower, but if you're a professional player and you can click heads, it's a whole different story.
Especially with that tiny little dot in the middle now. Like I said, that crosshair actually is pretty nice, at least in my opinion, for trying to line up headshots, but your mileage may vary, of course. That's all personal preference. And it seems like OXG's preference is going to be to come storming into the site here. NJR caught dead to rights by Vert after he hops in there. An attempt being made now by Shuttle. Nearly takes some damage in response. He's going to lose his shield in a moment here. So he does it to fall back deeper into white. Can play into the bathroom, though. You'll note he has the half reinforcement there if he wants to try and swing it again.
Some super smart play there from Vertical. Instead of shooting the breaching charge at the base of the shield, he shot it well enough in front of it to where the ADSs would not catch that were placed on the pixel wall. So all of those ADSs are still there, but Vert got rid of the shield. You can no longer play pixel, and if you try to, you're going to die. So Oxygen has complete Christmas control now as they start to make this more and more difficult for Disrupt. Disrupt working things well, though. They had just Shuttle off of the shield back towards white, so they're still going to have control in the areas that are desperately needed.
Retro also still waiting for his first opportunity to find some action here, and he may get that chance pretty soon here. A lot of flashes working his direction here, or at least soaring by him. Has not felt the need to chuck out any of the toxic babes just as of yet, though. Going to continue to remain hesitant on that, and it's a good thing too, as he hasn't really needed to use them. There's not been a sign of the push from Oxygen, so he's wasted a lot of the time and now begin to use them appropriately to waste the remaining 55 seconds on the clock. Although that's not if we'll see the nade take him down first, which is going to be actually not the unfortunate truth. It's Slash that kills him outright with a gun, as I quickly correct myself there. Either way, still Oxygen dominance so far in round number 3 here. They brought it down to a 5v3. The only thing they haven't been able to do is force the issue out onto the actual site just yet, but that push should be coming within the next, I would say, 20 seconds or so, especially with that kill coming out from Bio. Getting access to the new Balk here, he's going to be able to control even more of it. He even knows where the final player is as well. J9's not going to be able to last very long. It's a flawless round from Oxygen.
That's a beautiful, beautiful round from them. Just controlling every single aspect of that top floor. As going as far as to rotate a player in the latter half of that round to Cocktail to apply even more pressure and eventually swinging in Heaven window. There was a lot of good things there for Oxygen. Disrupt did not have a single horse in that race at all. I can tell you that for sure. So they're immediately going to switch off, and I can't blame them at all, going to Fireplace Hall and mining.
Another hopefully successful site here for Disrupt if they can make it happen for themselves here. At the same time, OXG really starting to get into the swing of things, especially when it comes to early round control. There's not been a lot of disruption from, well, the Disrupt roster. Pardon the pun, it was a complete accident. And as a result of that, we're going to need to hopefully see them step up the efficiency in that game just a little bit here for the rest of the half. They want to have hopes of trying, again, just poor choice of words, to disrupt the overall early Oxygen pushes here. I can't think of a synonym for disrupt right now. Interfere with. There we go. That'll be the one I use from now on.
The crappiest thing about those instances is you're like, it's literally their name. I can't think of it.
No,
It's like when you're, it's like when you're listening to music.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you're listening to music and you try to think of a different song rather than the song that you're listening to. It's almost impossible, you know? It's
clearly
very
Disrupt
difficult
just
thing.
change the team name.
Yeah, Cashflow, what are you doing, man? Come on, change the name
Moving to defuse a bomb.
for commentator's sake. Disrupt though. Setup looking nice. I like what they've done upstairs, at least. Love what you've done with the place. ADS's going inside of Pixel for NJR, so you could hold on to that one for a while. They've also reinforced the hatch upstairs because, well, desperately needed inside of Christmas. If that maintains, obviously being soft as opposed to the hard reinforcement, then there's going to be some vertical play that can happen, and obviously people dropping through, which is not what you want to happen unless you're going to cost them some of those ace Soma charges.
Like I said, hopefully trying to get a little bit more disruption going on. I'd use it again in the early round here. Oxygen. There is going to be at least one player on the windows here, and that's Fox, as you can see. But he's obviously going to be a little bit cautious about his fight selection here as well. NJR chose to back up over towards Pixel in the process, and it's a good thing that he did, because Retro is somehow able to find the angle onto Foxe from outside, I believe, of the mining window right there, taking him out of the picture. Very well done.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I was exclamating that because that was a Maestro that just jumped outside.
Yeah.
You don't see that one every single day. So Retro's gonna get the initial kill onto Fox, which Oxygen was definitely not ready for. Reed's taking quite a bit of damage though. They'll still have 2 smoke grenades that he can utilize to slow down this push, but now Oxygen has all of top control. Granted, they don't have the same amount of verticality as they had at the beginning of the round when Fox is still alive, but they're still breaching charges as well as breaching rounds to use to make some of this vertical play.
A little bit of top-down control now being exercised for here by the Oxygen roster with those extra breaching charges that we saw brought to the table by Bio.
Attackers have
That
located
hopefully
a
give
bomb.
them a little bit better purview of what is going on downstairs. And unfortunately for them, though, it's actually not going to reveal all that much in actuality when you look at the very empty site that is sitting before them right now. Vertical is going to be able to push the advantage a little bit further here for Oxygen and at least tie things up back down into a 4v4. He's able to take down Shuttle, Slash finding another kill too, but J9 hot on the tail there, is able to pick one up, as is Retro. Bio trading it right back again though. These fights so neck and neck between these two teams, and this round is no exception here. Laxing with the most recent find. A good possibility to potentially take out Bio here though, but no, NJR missed his bottom to top angle where he might have been able to pull that off a second ago, and now is hoping for someone to cross red instead. He's going to move forward here, takes a lot of extra damage trying to get there, and as a result of that, Laxing will finish him off quite quickly, giving OXG yet another round.
Great stuff from Auction. Very nice recovery and good control of that top floor. That was really the dagger that ended up disrupting. I can't think of another word right now. Interfere with Disrupt. I'll just copy yours. That works. Anyways, for Disrupt, falling off of that top floor really early on exactly wasn't the worst thing in the world. They maintained man count and were able to work a lot of other things that they really wouldn't have been able to if they fought for that top control, because eventually you're going to have to give it up anyways. The offense wants the most control of that area, so they're able to get a diffuser down. So for DG, it really was the adjustments for Oxygen instead of those gunfights, and especially vertical. I believe coming up brown stairs. I just eventually saw him inside of Pillar, so I'm assuming this is exactly where he came from. Didn't exactly know exactly where he ended up coming from initially, but overall, Oxygen shutting down a lot of the attempts that Disrupt had to try and stop them from getting that site control, mainly because they were pushed so far back. We really didn't have any site control that they had inside of Train. I mean, at one moment in time, Disrupt had 3 people inside of Reading.
Indeed the case there. Disrupt, fortunately, getting the better of themselves on that round. Not able to stop the flush of players from OXG. They're able to take control for themselves in that previous round, and now the attack starting to look better and better here for Oxygen. Is, like I said a few rounds back, really starting to come into their own here, especially when it comes to the early round situation. Disrupt doing a good job of finally fighting back at that at the beginning of the round, but just not able to follow that through enough into late round after getting the initial 5v4 advantage. So downstairs hold yet again here. This is so far the only site that's been won by Disrupt, and even then was won on a clutch from NJR. Very nice one at that. So even though this is a site they've had success on, I wouldn't necessarily call it a secure one that they would be able to repeat, as Oxygen came very close to winning it themselves.
Well, into the round now as Oxygen is clearing out the top floor. No presence here from Disrupt. They're all downstairs just playing things horizontally, which is exactly what you'd expect from this bomb site. We do have one missing person, though, to see exactly where that last Disrupt member is. Oh, there he is. NJR all the way at the front. Just lost track of him there for just a second. So truly is full on horizontal. Still set up for that white take. So we'll see if Oxygen favors that or would much rather go towards Bakery. That white take seems to be very, very strong for them. It's just that the diffuser goes down in some very awkward spots, it seems, that, you know, Oxygen really doesn't have the utmost control of. Last time around, though, Disrupt able to win that out off of that very, very drastic 1v1 in between the last two remaining members of Lax and NJR.
Oxygen knows for sure that this is a horizontal setup. You can see them spending all this extra time that they've been kind of gifted because of the fact that Disrupt wants to play it all downstairs to just set up top-down angles for them to hopefully use later on. There's some attempts, of course, to fire back as we see that Nitro still going off in front of Foxay. A little bit too far to do any major damage, though, so he ends up losing about 10 or so HP from that one. Bio, also with the first find from these top-down angles, he's able to take out Shuttle and eliminate the Malusi.
Yeah, a lot of these Disrupt members not having the greatest time here on Cafe. Currently have 2 donuts, which is very unfortunate once again for the squad. Retro gets traded out, but he's downed instead of dead. Means Reed could possibly get him up, but he's worried about the vertical play right now, and he damn well should be. Laxing cleans up Retro, and all of a sudden Disrupt not in the best spot. Oxygen full, well and good, hanging out inside of the driver's seat. Have the hatch open as well, so good presence here from Oxygen. Just need to make some space for this plant.
Really a good thing to leave your teammate hanging on the ground like that, but it seems in that situation it was the smart play from Reed, as if he tried to go for the res, he might have been the dead man in that situation. The pinch potentially coming out against J9 in a moment here. He seems to be aware that it's a pinch. Some nice damage going on a Bio, but he's actually able to dodge the large majority of it there and come out on top of that fight. Very well played on the movement, specifically from him to avoid the shotgun damage. NJR coming down white on the flank, does pick up Foxay. Is he going to be able to get more than that? Not him necessarily, but Reed does, and now he's grouped up. All of a sudden, this is not certainly one round by Oxygen anymore, but thankfully they are able to bring it back under their control by once again utilizing the top-down angles to shut things down.
Oh, I actually... wow. Okay. So the hatch actually didn't end up getting opened.
No, it wasn't open.
I thought they dedicated 2 pieces of utility there from Ace, but I don't exactly know what happened. It looked like they might have just dedicated one and said, hey, we'd rather have the vertical play. I don't really know.
I didn't look at what the defenders had for utility, but if there was an impact, I'm not sure if you can even do it there, but I was saying maybe it's possible that the second one got impact tricked or something like that. Because of all the top-down angles that were already open.
I mean, possibly, but also I would go as far as to say, like, he's going to throw them down at the same time, right? He's not going to put one Selma, wait for it to go fully off, and then put down another one. So I would say that if it did get impact tricked, that it would have destroyed both of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless for some reason the shrapnel system was just like, nah, which that's a possibility as well. That's kind of how Siege goes every once in a while. There's sometimes some random things that we aren't exactly ready for, but I mean, hey, that's just a very weird round ending there. I mean, Laxing stuck upstairs. His only form of travel to actually get downstairs will be heading towards white because that hatch is sealed. So they were really, really trying to force that vertical play to be able to hold down a post plant.
All right, folks. Oxygen, like I said before, continuing to push the advantage further and further into their favor. And now they've got a chance to really seal the deal here with a potential 5-1 scoreline coming off said attacking half for Disrupt. Very much in the same position that Oxygen was back on the previous map. They need to wake up right here, right now, and get themselves that second round, as if not, it's going to be a rough attempt to come back from the attacking side.
And things are actually pretty split as for, offensive and defensive side right now. I mean, granted, the Wamai ban, kind of a difficult thing for the defense to try and fight through. But again, it is still Cafe. Like, there's a lot of good things going on for the defense. Disrupt just can't find these rounds. Oxygen, I think, has mostly been winning these out instead of the very hard engagements that they've had with Disrupt, where, either way that gunfight falls, that team is more than likely going to win the round. Oxygen has been winning more of these 1v1s, and you can tell that just from the scoreboard. Looking over at Disrupt side right now, we were touching on Shuttle and Reed earlier. Now NJR dead early on. Oxygen, time and time again on this offensive half, making very big impacts.
And Jared's been getting focused out a lot of the time too, which has probably been very frustrating for him as he hasn't been able to have the opportunity to play in such a clutch fashion that he'd been doing in previous rounds here. Him being the first dead, certainly not a encouraging sign for the rest of the Disrupt roster, but they're going to have to do their best to work without him anyway here. It's also going to be early white control going over towards the roster for Oxygen here. Be able to clear that out. There's no secondary hold. Vert's going to take some damage here. Brings him down very, very low, but he does survive after what looks like Reed tried to take him out there.
Yeah, well, Reed's going to get a lot of damage for that, but Oxygen getting traded back. Their load as well. Vert very, very low on 1 HP, as well as Slash, who's sitting right around that 10 to 15 area. So both of these members of Oxygen now one shot, but the map control for Oxygen, that's the thing that is bountiful right now. They have so much of it. They're mainly focused on Freezer right now. As you guys can see, the pings ticking back and forth, trying to figure out exactly how they want to handle this, as both walls have been reinforced off and kayeded. So not any presence on that, and no real chance unless they want to go underneath to get that taken control of. Could be in a pretty bad spot here. Bad predicament as well, as Retro tosses a Toxic Babe, ends up killing off Slash here, but Bio's gonna grab the diffuser and immediately starts planning. All the smoke's going off, and the man with the nice suit already dead, and he can no longer see through those. Vert's actually inside of Cocktail right now. I don't even know if they're sure of his presence. Retro with a hell of a shot onto Laxing on the roof. This all of a sudden makes this winnable. Vert on very low HP. Oh no, J9 loses a very, very important gunfight. It's all down to Retro, currently inside of C1, but Vert's ready for him, takes his head off, and Oxygen 5 rounds on their offensive half of Cafe.
Yeah, I was a little worried there when we saw that the smoke got left alive on the inside of Freezer, that he would have been able to do some damage in the post plan, and that was indeed the case. I'm pretty sure Retro was able to pick up 2 kills from the inside of Freezer, if not 1 at least. But yeah, thankfully, due to the position that we had from Vert there, way over in Cocktail, they had pretty good control over him. Retro, this is, if he was going to try to swing at any point. So that's thankfully worked out pretty well for them to be able to have him in such an advanced position to control so much of the map after the diffuser actually went down.
All right, well, Oxygen now onto the defensive side. They're going to be starting things off strong with a top hold. Very rudimentary. This is what we're used to seeing people start off. But again, completely open to interpretation on whatever they want to do. Oxygen going to be prioritizing the shield setup here with the Goyo coming along for the ride. So definitely a far cry from what Disrupt was, trying to do with their setup, mainly just with that Goyo, though. It's obviously still going to be pretty close when it comes down to the reinforcements. Just could have things change up, especially around that bathroom area. Vert's going to be reinforcing that, as well as you're going to see the Freezer reinforcements more than likely, as well as the rotation being made by Slashug right now inside of the bathroom. So this is going to be more or less holding down that Freezer slash bathroom area for Oxygen as they try and slow down this take onto Christmas. And they offer quite a bit of utility to assist in that.
Well, let's see how Disrupt fares for their attacking sides and how the playstyles, more importantly, may differ between these two teams here. Disrupt, of course, potentially bringing a different flair to their attacking side than we saw from Oxygen, and might be the same for Oxygen's defenses. I believe they'll play a little bit more in the face of Disrupt here, especially now that they have a 5-1 advantage already over them just at the start of the second half. There's a lot of room for confident plays to be made here from Oxygen with very little consequence if they go wrong right now.
Yeah, Oxygen kind of throwing the book at Disrupt right now. Foxay's probably going to go for a Nitro early on through this hatch, as well as they have some holes made inside of Christmas to throw a Nitro into Cigar Shop whenever ready. Fox not exactly ready, and I believe it was actually the Buck that ended up opening that up, and Fox immediately dips. Cannot get mad at him for that at all. That Skeleton Key can definitely do enough damage when a Nitro cell's in your hand to kill you.
A few more players here from Disrupt still watching the second floor as well to make sure there won't be any attempts to mess with the rappel work if Disrupt are indeed going to be relying on that in order to get access or try to force back the players in Xmas. Which right now this is really just coming down to Vert holding back Piano here. Even he might not stick around here for very long if he thinks it's unsafe. Disruptor actually going in through the second floor too, so potentially going to try to sweep up from there. It looks like Shuttle with a drone supporting him as he moves forward here is quickly clearing out the large majority of the second floor. He knows he's got the Malusi on 90 just to his left as he walks out this door. So now I think just waiting on the drone just to be extra cautious in the event there is someone nearby. But they figured that out now. They know it's no longer the case, and they're going to be clear to make the rest of this, clear of the second floor.
One could run into some problems here as we have a rotation from the defense coming up Brown right now, but actually being played towards the bottom. It's laxing. Could have a really, really large impact here. Although he probably doesn't know it just yet. There's quite a few members of the offense right around him. Slash ends up getting taken down. Shuttle, the red dot Don himself, picks up his very first kill of the game. Starting off this offensive side right with 2 big picks.
Ferd is also nearby. These players, however, is snuck up from behind them, I believe, working his way down through red, or managed to get here through another avenue. Drone's gonna find him. They know he's here. However, no longer is this a secret play, and he did not catch or was not able to calculate the opening that had already been made into the library. And as a result of that, he gets caught by Shuttle trying to change his angle. J9 continues to push the advantage for Disrupt. Very, very well played by them so far. It's all down on Foxay in the 1v5.
A very rough round for Oxygen overall. Granted, it's not over yet. We could still see something happen here of an impact. On Nitro Cell out. Is it going to kill him? No, it's J9 actually. And oh my god, the cavalry's there. Just peeked himself into a firing squad as a flawless round goes through for Disrupt. Disrupt keeping it textbook, man. Very nice, clear, good drone work, got the info game, and punished OXG for those independent plays that they were trying to make. And that's something that we've talked a lot about with Oxygen, especially in this last week from what we had seen previously. There was a lot of, solo-esque things going on that Oxygen attempted to perform on their offenses, a lot of disjointed fights that really weren't recoverable from their teammates. They're now falling into that same trench here on the defense to start us off here, but we're immediately transitioning downstairs to kitchen. Not a bad play here by Oxygen. I feel like they're going to centralize a lot more around their utility game and try and slow down the execution from Disrupt.
That round should force a lot of respect out of Oxygen when it comes to them trying to make plays against Disrupt here. Disrupt controlled so much throughout that round, and Oxygen just never really seemed to have any type of playmaking capabilities except for like the first 30 seconds to a minute or so when they were trying to line up stuff like you saw Foxay trying to make a play towards Red Hatch that he had to fall back from and things like that. But as soon as we saw members of Disrupt getting into the building, they seemed to have full control over the situation from that point onward, and that may now dictate the state of play here for OXG going into the next round if they know they're going to try and reattempt that for all the following rounds as well. OXG may decide to play a little bit more passively now as a result of that.
Very, very true. And Cafe offers a lot when it comes to that passive style of play, especially with something like Kitchen. Like, you can prepare for a lot of things here with, both sides being pretty defendable, especially like the bakery side. Obviously, we see a lot of the times where people fall off of that. Oxygen mostly, actually kind of spread out right now. They have a different VIP setup than what obviously we're used to seeing, but I'm sure it works in the exact same fashion. Deployable shield in there with a couple of ADSs to try and make anyone last just a touch longer. Fox going to switch out with Laxine as he's now on that mid floor and going to try and be the stopping point for this offense.
J9 still trying to check out inside of mining, of course, trying to see, first of all, if there's any roaming presence, and secondly, I think he's got a bit of a top-down angle, so trying to play off of that if it reveals anything as well, but nothing so much as of yet, and now J9 is going to move up a level along with Shuttle and work to take third floor control away from OXG. Foxay and NJR are going to end up in a mini duel here on the inside of Library. Neither player coming out on top of that one necessarily, as both will just get a shot or two off onto each other and back away for the time being.
Nice clear here from Disrupt, forces Oxygen downstairs, but it was more by their own choice than anything. They'd much rather keep the man count even and let Disrupt work the map. And honestly, I think that is the best avenue for them right now. They have a lot of good utility placement downstairs to slow down this offense of Disrupt. It's going to be mostly under the vertical play to get these picks for Disrupt now. We need to see some successful plays here.
Once again, top-down angle is going to be utilized over the next few moments as we'll see the Bucks start to open those up and hopefully open up the possibilities play. I mean, hey, he's going to get a little assist through that Nitro Cell too, which thankfully for Shuttle doesn't do a whole lot of damage to him. It's going to start to run low on ammo though, so that capability to self-destruct is going to be limited quite a bit at some point within the next few seconds here. This is going to lead into a very important stage of the round where both the attackers and defenders are going to try and sneak off kills from all these angles that have just been opened up. Obviously, the attackers have a slight advantage in that arena, but doesn't mean the defenders won't be able to get anything off either. And now with the freezer hatch being opened, the execute from Disrupt shouldn't be too much further away.
No, it should not. And it looks like they're also going to be prioritizing this freezer side. So no bunker presence right now for OXG, but they're definitely good for it, especially going in these last 30 seconds. I think Disrupt are going to get caught off guard by this because we have a lot of presence out towards Whiskey right now. The only thing that they truly have to worry about inside of sight is Slash Hug. Everybody else off, but that means that they can't possibly try and take anything horizontally right now. With such a low time, they're going to have to try and force something. We're looking for the drop for the freezer. Some last little tidbits of information coming through on these drones. Fox with the M590. Slash actually gets taken down in their inside freezer. It's happened, and they're planning. Bio's Evil Eye can't stop it either. Still on Reed. He's going to go through with it. Bio rotating into prep now as the trades are big and bountiful, but they lean into Disrupt's favor. How is this even allowed to happen? Hell of a shot from Shuttle as they're shutting down everything Oxygen's trying to do. Bio sticking it. Reed goes for the swing. Bio burns him, but immediately gets killed by Shuttle. Disrupt still in this one.
Once again, masterclass play there from Disrupt, and more importantly, a great job kind of masking the overall strat there up until the very end of just dropping the two players into hatch and maintaining the rest of the post-plant control, seemingly from a top-down perspective. Great stuff from them. Also, I mean, that's a big miss for OXG on not being able to catch that and properly punish it there when the actual play finally shuffles out onto the site itself. OXG seemed like they had solid control over everything around the site up until those final few seconds when DG just full sent it and it worked.
There was a lot of vertical play to worry about inside of the site, which is why we saw everybody get off, right? But, I mean, even with that being said, there's 20 seconds that remain. You have info on site with the Evil Eye. There's really no one there to try and counter out the drop. Like, that was really their only option. They had Oxygen just by process of elimination. Oxygen had control of every other means to enter that site except for the freezer hatch.
And that one small opening was all Disrupt really needed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's really rough for them because Oxygen has everything locked down. I guess they just misread exactly what was going to go on, and Disrupt dropped the hatch. Everyone lives dropping the hatch, and you get a diffuser down while no one's really trying to contest you. The only thing you have to worry about is the Evil Eye over the sink. I mean, for Disrupt, that was a saving grace right there. If there was anyone to try and capitalize on that, that round is over.
Ends up not being the case there, and Disruptor able to not only hold on but flourish out of that situation. Coming out on top with yet another round for themselves, now setting it up at 5-3, just 2 more rounds away from tying up the overall round score. And for Oxygen, still no success being found as of yet on their defensive half, but still with a 2-round advantage. They're not sweating just yet, but starting to get to that point here. OXG does need to worry a bit here about their capability to close things down.
Exactly that. That's the thing. They're still 1 round away from getting to map and match point. And the more rounds that Disrupt rack up, the more desperate Oxygen is going to get. They do still have 2 buffer rounds, though. So they'll be able to at least get a good read on what's going on and try and counter things later if things don't exactly go the greatest right now for them. DG already have some presence inside of Bakery, and I mean, this is free. This is as free as it possibly gets. No reinforcements onto the prep. They're able to just walk in, hold down prep, and start torching the wall. So that doesn't mean that the round is completely over, folks. Trust me, there's a lot more that they need to do, especially after Slash gets the kill onto Retro. Did they end up getting the wall open? They did. Yeah, that's a really good thing, because if not, that was not only an amazing shot from Slash Hug, but that would have left DG in really hot water.
I'm going to guess when it fell, like when it turned soft, that's when they were able to get the shots off on him, and he just wasn't able to move quickly enough. So he just kind of kind of a victim of his own actions there, unfortunately, but he got his job done, and that's what's important in this situation. Oh, nice trace as well from Shuttle. New Laxing went for the what? Gets another one as well on a slash. I don't even think he knew he was there, but nonetheless, beautifully played by Shuttle. Let's see if he can get one more here. He's got another target sitting behind the wall. Gonna be able to isolate that one. Not so easy this time, it seems, but he's more than punched his ticket for this round. Now it's time for the team to push in and start taking some control.
It's the most amount of kills I've seen the old red dot get ever. I'm gonna be really honest with you, but who more to do it than Shuttle? And such a good player for such a long time. Those two big impact frags now more than likely going to give GG another round unless the defensive operators of Oxygen have anything to say about it. They do still have the vertical play for Fox A. He knows that one got in, but I don't know if he has any verticality across. He doesn't, and Reed's also planted inside of smoke. They don't know where this is going down. Reed's going to secure the plant. Vert works into K2, gets one for his troubles as Reed goes down, but this is going to be a very difficult post plant here for Oxygen as DG has locked down most of their avenues.
It's not a great position to try and counter defuse either because of these post plants. Fox able to confirm J90. He has lost vertical and more than likely he's not going to be able to retrieve him. Bio with a nice aim though. He's going to be able to take out NJR. Now it all falls to Shuttle. He's going to have to come out clutch in a big way, and unfortunately he cannot get it done. Just over 15 seconds remaining. I mean, there's plenty of time for the counter defuse as long as Fox ignores his dead teammates, and that's exactly what he'll do. Oxygen, after so much struggling here on the defensive half, are finally going to be able to push themselves up onto map and match point.
It feels just very funny now that, like, not a long time ago we were talking about how smokes were just never used anymore. Nobody smoked plants. Nobody uses that utility. And every single plant that we have seen go down today from either of these teams has been a smoke plant. Every single one of them. It's kind of weird how it's worked its way back in, but it's really, really effective. These plants continue to go down for both of these teams. This time, Disrupt getting away with that one, but did not end up locking down the round after some really, really good play from Oxygen to win those gunfights. I mean, that was really it. It all came down to Shuttle and weight on his shoulders, but that man had already done so much inside of that round, as well as downing two members of Oxygen in the process of trying to hold the diffuser down as well. I mean, what else can you have the man do? Somebody else has to step up and help him. So for Disrupt, I mean, granted, you are down 3 rounds right now, though. But if Shuttle keeps shooting like that, and you guys can keep getting into these instances where you are into that post plant, I feel like they can definitely run it back and push us into OT. But for now, Oxygen well in the driver's seat, all the pressure on Disrupt.
A huge sigh of relief winning that round for Oxygen. Now they can focus up on just shutting down that singular extra round that they need in order to take the win here in the series today. And that's what's, of course, most important out of all of this. Regardless, though, massive improvement being made by Disrupt here over the previous week's performance. And they're not really out of this match just as of yet either. As you were mentioning, there's still a really good opportunity for them to swing the next 3 rounds into their favor and try to take this to OT. It's just now it has to be done in a row since they no longer have the luxury of a lost round to give them that extra buffer.
Yeah, also the difficult thing with that, right, is if you're thinking about it in the regards of, okay, we have to have 3 practically perfect rounds, otherwise we're going to lose, right? That really affects a lot on how you're going to play. Granted, again, these are professional players. They've done this for a very long time, so not going to affect them as much. But when it comes down to it, you are tending to play safer when you are inside of these instances because you don't want to die. So for Disrupt, hopefully that won't affect them too much. They've been able to have quite a bit of presence inside of the fragging department. It's pretty equal amongst both of these teams. Obviously, some people lagging behind, but that's exactly what's going to happen almost every single map. Somebody has to be the bottom frag. Nope.
All right, guys. Well, Disrupt putting a lot of focus onto those west walls inside of mining and the hallway outside of it early on here. Probably a little bit of pressure into third floor cigar as well, but it does look like the majority of their pressure is indeed working inside of mining and train. Already taking some early control there. Oxygen is holding the top down right now. They don't have a massive player count in the site itself, which could become problematic here if too many bodies from Disrupt are able to get into that mining area that we were just talking about before. Now, it should be noted that Oxygen also has a player on the first floor, so they have the potential to do a complete vertical pinch from both directions here. Bio can even make a bit of a run out here, although this one's going to be a bit too bold. No, he actually does catch a player, but is not able to get the damage off in time, and he's going to get caught running back in by J90.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Not only the vent machine, or the vent machine, the AC unit outside, preventing him from getting the kill on Repel, but also gets caught off guard right when he gets back in the door. But oh no, Oxygen now starting to do some damage to the Disrupt lineup. They're going to tag up Shuttle. Still have some presence inside of Christmas. Foxay could be going for a ride out this window anytime soon. Does still have the assistance of Virtus. He's holding down Red. Gets a nice shot onto Shuttle. The old teammate shuts him down. And Foxay going to pick up one of his own. Now Disrupt. Oh man, less than a minute. He's outside as well, but he gets picked off by NJR. The smoke assisting both of these players and blocking out the other one's vision. NJR immediately going to hop into Engine now. Diffuser inside of Train. Let's see how Disrupt can possibly work this.
A hop out a little bit too bold there for OXG. Trying to kill a player that, yes, has been in that same position for a while, but still can't get the job done. J9 still stays alive, as does NJR. Now that situation here with 20 seconds left. Disrupt have to start forcing themselves into the site. Diffuser is down, but I believe it's under their control, so it's not going to be a massive task to pick it up. There we go. They've got it. Now they've got to move in, though, and this is where the problems start to show up. In fact, it's already just down to J9, and he can't maintain. Laxing shuts him down, and Oxygen take final control of this series. They will win it today, 2-1 in their favor, with a victory here on the third map on Cafe.
Amazing series in between both of these teams. Oxygen finally shutting it out here on Cafe. And I gotta say, John, some really, really good reads from them on to what Disrupt's game plan was. They continued to adjust and found the thing that was the most difficult for Disrupt to deal with. Beautiful, beautiful stuff overall.
Definitely the case. And like I said before, Disrupt also with some pretty good improvements, in my opinion, over their play in the previous week. So hopefully we will see that storyline continue to develop as the stage moves on as well. But Oxygen survive. They move themselves forward. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for myself and Stokes for the day. Don't go anywhere, though, as we're sending it over to the analysis desk right now to break down this game and hopefully get a little bit of a discussion going with our winners.
Blue and Stokes, thank you so much. Wonderful casting. As always, have a great evening. And OXG dominating on map 3 Cafe, beating DG. Veli, let's look at some of the best moments of the map.
Yeah, I thought this game was going to be extremely close. Disrupt Gaming start off on defense. I was like, okay, something's going to go well. NJR clutches a 1v1 against Laxing. You just saw that there. The rookie went off, but it was just the outright just veteranship, the experience, the aggression, everything Oxygen threw at Disrupt Gaming. It just seemed like it worked, Jesse.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that as we see these highlight reels go down, you know, this sort of leaned the way we expected it to. This was Oxygen's best map last stage. I don't know why Disrupt left us through the pools, but either way, they chose to gamble it and obviously didn't work out too well. A lot of big plays happening. This is actually a nice one from Shuttle. I thought he had a bit of a quieter map, Veli. You were going on about that, but that was a really nice play.
Yeah, so the question is, now Oxygen, they're going to move ahead. They have a big chance at finishing top 2 in this group, so that way, next phase, they could be in the top 4. But it's Disrupt Gaming that I'm mostly worried about. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, actually, Veli, let's just get right into it.
Let's talk about it now.
Disrupt has a difficult journey ahead of them. Like you said, relegation is looming, and if they want to go to the NA Major, it's going to be tough for them.
At this point in time, I think we should take it as a learning lesson rather than...
Oh, Jesse's cat. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I thought Jesse was falling or something. I just saw him just go down.
I know, I was like, what is he doing? And then I was like, oh,
Right.
cat.
She wanted
Hi.
cuddles.
Sorry. Hi, Bonnie.
But seriously, I just hope that this is a big learning lesson. Whether Disrupt Gaming, they find out what's going wrong with this current roster, or they take a look at the change that they made, because it seems like nothing is better with this roster. And it's not to be mean, because
of course.
I'm a big fan of the way Retro is played today. J90 actually has some great moments, and we all know NJR, right?
Yeah.
But it gets worrisome when in one half you have two players like Reed and Shuttle, and they really don't produce much. Yes, Shuttle picked it up big time in the second half, but sometimes it's just way too late. So, I mean, I feel for him, but they're going to have to go back in the huddle and just relook at things right now. I'm not saying to make a team change, Look at what's causing you to lose and just try to fix that one step at a time.
Yeah, and I think like the nice thing is that Disrupt have a little bit of a break now because they're not playing in phase 1 anymore. They're already last in the group. You can't change your result from there. So they have a bit more time, but they had the whole off season, right? So like, I don't think time can be an excuse for them. Hopefully they use this time a little bit better than they did the off season. I do want to see some major improvements coming out because this team does not look like where they did even at the start of the NAL.
So just to throw it out there, if they go 0-2 again, they're going to be in a relegation game.
Yeah.
So keep that on your mind as well.
Yeah.
They don't have much room for mistakes.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. I just want to throw this question in here, and I'm not quite sure how y'all will respond to it, but it just kind of popped into my head. So they got rid of Nyx. They nixed Nyx. And, you know, part of me feels like, you know, he's such a fiery, passionate player. And losing that, I feel like it has affected their chemistry. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I kind of wanted to see how y'all wanted to weigh in on that. Like, they did make those changes hoping that it would be an improvement, but maybe this is actually hurting them. Belly, I'll put
Jesse,
you in. You want to put Jesse in?
I'll jump on it then.
Okay, jump on it.
I'm going to be honest. I heard why they replaced Nyx. That's not my business to tell you, but I feel like Nyx on this team, they had a lot more oomph in their gameplay. It looked like it was believable for them to win way more rounds than we've seen so far in the last 2 series that they've had.
Agreed.
And I've always said, you know, like, Jade, I know, he's a great addition to this roster. I just don't think that taking Nyx out of the lineup was the play. That's my opinion. I'm not on the roster. I'm just an analyst. You know, what the hell do I know? But I mean, look at Oxygen. Once upon a time, we saw minus laxing plus laxing, and it's safe to say that laxing is a pretty damn good pickup. Excuse my language, but
Exceptional pickup, yeah.
Right, being in the professional scene once myself, like, I've made a lot of mistakes, but it's just all about correcting them, not going back in your ways, but just really looking at the real problems that are surrounding you and just fixing it. They have to do that, and I just don't see that at the moment.
So, you know what's funny? Guess who we're going to be interviewing?
Laxing?
Laxing!
Yeah, boy!
His ears must have been ringing or burning. All right, Laxing, how you feeling? Congrats on your victory!
Thank you. I'm feeling good, tired, as usual.
Yes, it's a solid win for y'all. Definitely want to talk to you about last week a little bit. That was a tough loss against Tempo. After that match, what did you all address? What needed to be fixed?
It was just our fundamentals and how we played together. There was a lot of issues. I mean, go from the major and then after that we ran into, and as a brand new team, I feel you have to make those errors and mistakes so that way you can get over those hurdles and improve for the future. Because we changed things that we didn't need to change. We got a little too fancy with it, and then it kind of like put us in a bad spot. So we're still, even after this DG match, we're still trying to find the footing that we had going into the first stage of last split.
All right, well, this is a great win for y'all. So your team has had success. You have also fallen short. What are you focusing on to become more consistent then, to be the best team you can be? You said you all are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just comes down to rewatching VODs and watching individual plays and everything that, and just kind of seeing how we can critique things and fix it for the future. Because more often than not, you find yourself in very similar situations. So it's just a matter of realizing what spot you're in and then just correcting the mistakes that we keep making.
Okay, and you know, there are some haters out there who are doubting y'all as a team. Do you think that OXG is still a top contender in the US division?
Yeah, 100%. And that's not to take away from any of the other teams as well. Everyone's performing really well, but in terms of just our own skill and what we put out, like, in my mind, 100% we're a top 4 team.
All right. Well, Laxing, thanks so much for chatting with us. Go enjoy your victory. You gonna make some steak dinner?
Nah, I'm tired of steak. If anything, I'm gonna do like salmon or something. Steak is a little too much over here.
Okay, a salmon dish. All right. Well, maybe we'll see it on Instagram or Twitter later, but thanks so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Have a wonderful night, Jackie.
Bye, Laxine. All right, let's bring it back to the analyst desk. Okay, salmon tonight. No
Right.
steak. He was
Eating
kind
lean.
of, he was on a steak trend. Like, I feel like we saw a lot of steak photos, so he's switching it up. I get it.
Doing OD.
You know what I found interesting about that interview, though, was that he was like, hey, like, we kind of got a little bit too fancy, and we were like, we got to scale things back and kind of go back to the basics. That was just interesting for me to hear, because there's just such a talented team, and I feel like we always talk about how they have this special X factor, so it's kind of interesting that they're like, okay, like, maybe we overdid it and we need to scale back a little bit. Jesse, what did you think of that when you heard that?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what he talked about a couple of days ago when I had a chat with him, about how they did, like, try to change some things, improve some things after the major ended to, you know, boost themselves up, because they obviously didn't get the finish they wanted at the major, but it just didn't go how they expected and how they wanted it to. It reminds me of TSM as well, who have talked about moving to more of just like a frag-centric playstyle, getting more aggressive, just going with the flow and allowing players to make big plays rather than, you know, doing what SSG and Dark Zero have been famous for doing, is like planning out every single moment and making sure everything is super duper structured. Not that there's no structure in these two teams, but it's finding that balance, and that's going to be different for every squad.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that's a great victory for them. What are you thinking for the Corsair play of the day, Veli?
I love this part. The only play that I remember, and it's not even a play today, it's just NJR peeking Laxing. Like, everything else is just a blur. Okay, I have a boomer brain. My memory is just terrible. So I give up.
All right, Jesse, you agree? Do you think that's going to be the Corsair play of the day? Or
No, it's not.
Canton had a really nice 1v1 that I thought was like very difficult.
It's not gonna be a 1v1.
Maybe that. I don't know. We'll see. Retro had a
Okay.
nice 4K as well.
Yeah, let's roll it.
Back
The
on theme.
Corsair play of the day.
Retro.
Oh, retros.
Yes.
Oh, just
The
for the
1v2.
shock factor, yeah. All
Yeah!
right,
Yeah.
okay, good guess at the end there, Veli. Good guess
Wait,
at the
Veli,
end.
is
hold
this
up.
the? No, this isn't it. That's not it. No.
Wait, what?
Production. I'm gonna let you know now. There's two retro clips that game. That is not one of them. It's the one before that in the smoke grenade.
Yes, it was just definitely, yeah.
Yes.
That was the
See,
4K
that was a
though. That was
good
still a
one.
nice play.
I mean-
he got
Wait,
all
wait,
those
wait.
kills.
Oh, our
producer
producer just
said
said,
they have
hold
it."
on a second. Her producer just said, you hold on there, Veli. We got some more video for you. Okay, Veli's going to call them out. They're like, oh, hold on a
Yes.
second, okay?
They're gonna take me off air soon.
Oh, no, we would never. Though, Veli, literally with the technical, the light almost falling on your head, the graffiti. There's something special going on in New Jersey or whatever.
Oh,
out in the
all the
East
time.
Coast.
This is the play. Oh my gosh. Like, this play is just so sexy. Look,
This was
retro through
nuts.
the smoke. How did, like,
Back to
What?
1v5 too.
the
This was
maneuverability?
It's kind of an ace clutch because it was 1v5 and he won the round.
Oh.
That
More
was
of the clutch
nasty.
and less the ace, but
That was
You're right.
nasty. Yeah. Oh,
Yes. Production, thank you.
our producer is like, we redeemed ourselves. Thanks. Okay. But moving on, let's go over the bracket and recap the day really quickly. Jesse, can you talk about Group B, please?
yeah, for sure. We just got done watching Group B, so it should be fresh in your minds. We have Disrupt Gaming unfortunately falling into last place. They are going to finish fourth. That means they're in Group B in Phase 2, which is not a good place to be at all. Auction Esports will be fighting for second against the loser of Tempo Storm TSM. So Tempo Storm TSM is happening Wednesday. The winner of that gets first. The loser of that plays Auction to get second or third. And remember, top two move to Group A in Phase 2, which is where you want to be in the NAL.
All right, and Veli, let's talk about Group A.
Group A dominated by the one and only Dark Zero, the Purple Phenoms. They dominated Sonics, and next they're looking to dominate Space Station Gaming to remain the kings of NA ever since the NA Major back in August. But it's going to be all about E United. I want to see E United play against the loser of that matchup and show that, hey, we went literally from the bottom to the top with this change, and we're not going to let go yet. So Sonic's sitting in fourth place. That's not where they want to be, but you
No.
know what? Life happens, Jackie.
Yeah, Super's probably not happy tonight. But let's talk about Wednesday. Okay, we got some big
Yes.
matches for you. Definitely amped about Dark Zero versus SSG. Like, that one's
Oh, yeah.
definitely going to be entertaining. And Tempo Storm, They are new and improved, man. They are looking really sharp as well. They're going to be playing TSM. They are the second matchup on Wednesday. So everybody, you know what? Get out your little, like, your calendar or set a
Yes.
reminder in your phone. 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Monday, Wednesday, you get to see these gentlemen's beautiful faces. You get to see some awesome matches. So please make sure you tune in to this amazing U.S. division action. And then we got the Canada division on Friday. So lots of great siege. But gentlemen, thank you so much for a wonderful Monday. Always have a blast with y'all. I want to give a big thank you to our casters as well. Kix and Taro, Stokes and Blue, and then to our amazing production team. We love y'all to bits. Y'all work so hard. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And of course, the biggest thank you for all of you at home. We love you so much, Siege fam. We will see you on Wednesday. Mark your calendars. All right. Bye.
Defenders have eyes on the diffuser. Position compromised. Attackers bomb diffuser. Attackers bomb diffuser has been dropped. Attackers dropped the diffuser. Attackers drop the bomb. 10 seconds remaining. Attackers drop the diffuser.